I seriously need to get some Cherry MX Browns.
Well, you can't tell me that the blues are too loud. You love that kind of thing. What do you need
No,
browns for?
they're not. Oh, the greens. The louder ones.
Yeah, even worse.
Louder yet?
All right, I'm gonna head back to get ready.
I need greens.
Okay.
Then maybe an aluminum case for my keyboard.
Ooh.
Instead of the plastic. That way you really get that thunk at the bottom.
Maybe you could make a podcast of just you typing.
Hey,
Ambient,
those
ambient background
podcasts
noise.
already exist. There are podcasts that are basically that.
Is my keyboard any softer?
A little bit.
It's a bit more muffled.
Well, it'll be better when I get that drill bit so I can drill a boom in, because right now the mic is sitting on a stand on the desktop.
Have we heard from Bo and Tony?
No, I haven't heard from him in a while.
Oh, goodness. So we do not have Bo or Tony. Watts.
We should call them.
Ah. Gee, it's just 5 of us, huh? That's what Leo has already modified the show notes to say.
That's what he's got. The show notes, I just noticed, are only 14 pages long.
Only
14 pages long.
They're usually 12 or 13, and they still can go 3 hours at that.
Josh isn't going to be with us tonight.
Aww.
He's sent some predictions for next year, so I'm going to put them in HUDs.
Aren't they already there?
Oh yes, they are. Yeah.
Yeah, and I saw that Leo was getting people in the Telegram group to say stuff. I hope he pronounces the names right. A lot of people, we have a lot of Indian friends in the Linux Mint group. And some of them have come over to the mintCast group because of me being in there. Avinash, that's in the email. Where's Sundaram? I saw J.R. There he is, J.R. Anmani. He misspelled Owen's last name. You can't do that to the guy that does our video.
Our audio.
Yeah, audio. The same thing. I met my wife. I always seem to take a shower before the show. It's like I want to smell good for radio. Oh boy, cough drop time. All right, well, I'm done fixing what I can see to fix. Ready to go.
Okay.
Maybe with only 5 of us, it won't be 3 hours or 4.
No, maybe I'll get to bed at 11 o'clock.
Tony, what time is it now for you?
Coming up 8 p.m.
I could see where a 3-hour show really gets into the night.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to find my mute button. The end of this sentence. Okay.
It's not as bad as joining Biddle, the US Biddle, because that I have to join that at like 2:00 in the morning, and it doesn't finish until 4:00 or 4:00 ish, depending on how long I carry on chatting with them after they've stopped the live feed. But not done that for a while because it's been on hiatus. Haven't checked in on the Big Daddy community for ages.
Yeah, and I haven't jumped on your lug in a while either.
No, I didn't jump on it yesterday because I just assumed there was no one meeting up yesterday.
Hmm. Well, you guys are on your super lockdown again, aren't you?
Parts of England are in tier 4, which is super lockdown. We're still in tier 3, but I think in January we'll probably go into tier 4.
Well, we're in Texas.
The only difference that will make is
I'm in Texas.
Yeah.
The only thing that'll make for us is that all the non-essential shops will have to close again. Because
here in Tennessee we have
already closed.
Here in Tennessee, we have the highest rates of COVID per capita in the world, and we're not in lockdown. We can still go into a restaurant and sit down and eat, or a bar.
Yeah,
California's having it bad now, aren't they?
Governmental population control.
Yeah, they want to get rid of all the Republicans. Especially the old Republicans, and that's about all who votes Republican these days.
So we're close enough to Minnesota here in Wisconsin, and Minnesota is really locked down. And so all of the communities right along the Minnesota-Wisconsin border, you can't get into a restaurant because Wisconsin's open. They all come across the border, and
yeah,
every place is just packed.
Well, we have limitations on how many people can be in restaurants. But
because that's enforced.
It kind of is. They basically set sections up that you can't sit there, period.
Yeah, a lot of places around here just physically took the tables out.
Mm-hmm. Well, you can't really do that in a Waffle House, but...
You can unbolt them. Leave the booth and take the table out.
I used to live pretty close to Minnesota. Went and saw the Twins play a couple times.
Their new stadium is pretty cool, although it's sure hard to get to being downtown.
Yeah, I went in the 90s.
The Metrodome.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good.
Joe will always say no. That means yes.
Well, yeah. If he says anything, then I'm good.
Joe, say anything.
Anything.
All right. Well, I think I'm ready. If y'all are ready.
Let's do it.
Well, we've got to start doing all the prep for the audio.
Yeah,
so is everyone ready to start Audacity and do the 25 seconds of silence?
I am.
I'm ready.
Audacity.
Audacity.
Yeah, what's that Audacity?
We'll
Have
just
some
use the
Audacity.
recording on yours, Joe.
Okay, I'm cool with that.
You okay, Leo?
I think so.
Okay.
No guarantees, man. No guarantees.
Right, I'll do the counting to record, and then we can do the 25 seconds of silence. 3, 2, 1, record. Oh, mine didn't start recording.
Redo.
Redo.
All right.
Start again.
Hold on.
Start again.
Okay.
Okay,
See,
I'm ready.
And this is
Ready.
why all of our listeners pay us to do this show, so they can get this behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
They pay us?
This
What?
professional level of quality.
They pay us in one-eyed winks.
Yeah.
I think my microphone is up a little high, and I do not. There wasn't a microphone adjustment before. There is.
Why? Are you getting boogers on it?
Hello.
Okay, that should be better.
Okay. Right. Should we do it? Try take 2. 3, 2, 1, record. Yours is very quiet, Moss. No trucks.
Wow.
No trucks.
Yeah.
I'm hearing a little tick, 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 but I don't know what that's from.
Okay, we're ready to do 3, 2, 1, 0 then.
Well, let's do it.
Wait a minute.
And Leo, I should be right on top because I'm VPN to Houston.
All right. That sounds good.
Okay. Everyone ready for the 3, 2, 1, 0?
Do it.
Sure.
3, 2, 1, 0.
Zero.
Sounded good.
Yeah, that was very close.
Okay, over to Leo to kick us off.
All right.
Wait, there's a
Get
show
the drum
today?
kit going. Tum, 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 tum. All right, Leo, kick us off.
I think so.
He's going to
you-
score a field goal.
I missed it. Yusuf said he was ready as well in the chat. All right. Yeah, starting the intro music. Welcome to mintCast, the podcast by the Linux Mint community for all users of Linux. This is episode 351. This is episode 351.5. Livestream information is at mintcast.org/livestream. We're in the mintcast channel in IRC at irc.spotchat.org. If you see something that you'd like to hear about, tell us. Send us email at mintcast@mintcast.org. Join us live on YouTube. Post at the mintcast subreddit, chat with us on Telegram, Discord, Facebook, or post directly at mintcast.org. This is Leo, and with me today is Joe,
Hello.
Tony Hughes,
Hi, guys.
Moss,
That's me.
and special guest Eric Leitz.
Hello again.
Welcome back. We're recording on Sunday, December 27th. First up in our wanderings, I nuke an SSD on accident. Joe gets buffer. Tony fills a doggy bag. Moss is grateful. And Eric Linuxes all the things. Then in the news, Mint's 20.1 beta is available. Kentucky Fried Chicken reduces, reuses, and recycles. XFCE sees an upgrade. And GNOME not far behind. In security, SolarWinds. In our innard section, we look back on last year's predictions and make new ones. And finally, the feedback and a couple of suggestions. Well, as promised, I rebuilt my NAS. Is one thing I've been threatening to do for the past few months because the NAS was on Jesse. Which one is that one? Debian 8 or 9? Whichever one is the one that just lost support in July. Yeah, that was my server. So it's been running on fumes for what is that, like 4 months or something like that? 5 months. Well, anyway, a long time, too long. So I finally upgraded it to Ubuntu 2004 so I can get another little over 4 years of support. So that'll be nice. But it's actually a pretty big change. I was on Open Media Vault before, which is Debian based, and they've got a nice web user interface on top of it that you log into and make things really easy. Most everything is point and click, right? You want to set up a backup, click, 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 done. You want to set up Windows shares, click, 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 done. You know, it's all built in. Well, I decided to go it alone. And by alone, I mean just use whatever's in Ubuntu's repos. And that includes Nextcloud as a snap, Plex, not as a snap, but as a deb, which is not from the repo. So I guess I broke my own rule there. I use the Plex deb because they maintain it themselves. So I figure straight from the source and probably faster than it would get into the snap repository anyway. But either way, they package it up, so I trust them enough. And one of the other things is Cockpit. I have mentioned Cockpit a bunch of times on the show before, and Cockpit is just another web user interface that does point and clicky kind of stuff, but it's more for the lower level maintenance stuff, not higher level stuff like Samba shares or any kind of sharing or anything like that. It's more just keep up to date with your server, get some basic graphical stats on it, stuff like that. And so that works pretty well. Of course, I have bpytop on there, so I can put that fancy, cool squiggly lines on a screen and have that going all the time because I love blinky lights. And the last little thing was ButterFS. And it's too bad Josh is not here on the show for him to be like, oh, yay, ButterFS. Well, yeah, ButterFS. So you get to miss this, Josh. ButterFS. This is a file system instead of the traditional ext4. And the main reason, well, there's two, is number one, and this is the reason, this is the one that really flipped me over to it, which is bit rot protection. And since my Nextcloud, all of the storage for Nextcloud is running off of ButterFS, I really need that to not rot and die and change and, a single bit flip. It's important stuff in there. So I don't want any of it to go bad. And so the moment I know something has gone wrong, I can start pulling from backup and moving on. And ButterFS will let you know. As well, they seem to have more graceful failure of hard disks, so that's nice. So I tweeted that out, the ButterFS thing. I tweeted, I'm trusting you, ButterFS, and got a response from Neil Gompa of Fedora and OpenSUSE fame. And he advises a move to the hardware enablement kernel for better ButterFS support. Better ButterFS support. Anyway, so when that comes out, probably around February time, I don't know, whenever 0.2 comes out is when the new kernel comes out, Ubuntu 2004.2, I'll move on to it. So that'll be cool. I'm curious to see. I don't know exactly what is better about ButterFS, but I will find out. In theory, after the show, I'll probably go look it up. And in practice, whenever Ubuntu releases it. So, Neil's not normally an OpenSUSE guy that I know of. Maybe he is. Maybe he's way more involved than I had ever known. But he's actually part of the OpenSUSE election for this. And by the time you hear this, like today. So, anyways, I've got him linked in there just in case. Something horrible happened as well. My ESXi server bit the dust, sort of. I was convinced this was an SSD that died. It was not. But I didn't realize it until I panic formatted the SSD to find out whether or not it was fully, truly dead. It wasn't. I wrote about 100 gigs to it, and it was just fine. So So back to the drawing board. I went back to my ESXi server and realized it was the flash drive that had taken a dump. So yeah, whoops. So I reflashed the flash drive. I upgraded ESXi, which is something that was I needed to do for a long time. So I'm on the newest version of ESXi, and I haven't put that SSD back in there. I don't need it yet. But I don't even know if I will. All those pies I've been talking about over the past few shows have kind of taken over VM duties. So I'm needing ESXi less and less these days.
So, Leo,
Mhm.
for a guy who's very security conscious, you've left your NAS vulnerable for 6 months.
Whoa, I mean, yeah. So the beautiful thing about that though is that yeah, it's very limited in exposure. But yeah, no, you're right. You're absolutely right. And this is something that as work ramped up, I had less and less time. And of course, like working from home, work never stops. So I've had less and less time to be able to handle this. And that started around March time. And yeah, the first time I was really actually able to get it was, like a couple days ago. So,
By the way, you were right. It was Debian 8 Jesse that went end of life in June.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that was it was a long time coming. I should have done it a long time ago. I did not, but I finally did, and I don't have to think about it again for 4 years. And ESXi, I probably don't have to think about it again for 2 years. So yay! As long as hardware doesn't fail on me again, hopefully those servers will just chug along for forever. Well, anyway, that'll do it for me. Joe, what?
Well, I've been enjoying some time off with the kids. Still haven't killed any of them yet, so things must be going okay. I mean, they're off of school, I'm off of work. It's worked out so far. Went to my doctor. Doctor told me that my cholesterol was high again. So I need to come off the diet that I was on and try something different. I was basically on a low-carb, high-fat diet, so it's not surprising that my cholesterol went up. I'm going to try out calorie restriction and see if Coach Greg Duchette knows what he's talking about. High volume, low calorie dense foods while maintaining a low caloric intake. The guy does have a new cookbook out. You should check out his YouTube channel. But I'm not going to pay those prices. I mean, his old cookbook was $99 and his new cookbook is $150.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. He's
not
really
there.
selling you on it.
Yeah, I'm not there. But if you go through his videos, he does have a couple of his recipes there. So I've been trying out some of his spinach wraps and a couple of his protein shakes. Basically protein ice cream. That's really good. And I need to order some specialty pasta, which isn't all that easy for some reason, and see what else I can make. Moving on to things more tech related. At this point, the PSPs have paid for themselves, including all of the replacement parts that I ordered. Thanks, listener Dustin. I hope it's treating you well. I know you messaged me a couple of times about it, that it was doing good, so I'm glad you like it. And I'm still enjoying mine, and my son got one for Christmas, and I still got like 5 more that I can sell. And I got a couple of different pings today, but they're the type of Facebook marketplace pings where I really don't think they're going to follow up. So, I got one, what was it? Is this available? Yes. And then no response. And then the most recent one was, what's the lowest you're willing to go? Like I'm stupid enough to undercut myself. But,
Yeah, I always tell him I've already given you my best price. What's yours?
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, eventually more will move or they won't, and it's now that they've paid themselves off, it's perfectly fine. And actually, I made enough of profit that I was able to pick up a broken Samsung Gear S3 at a really decent price, and I tried to get it working. I was able to get the battery to charge, but wasn't able to get it to turn on. Now, these devices, if the battery gets low enough, they will not charge on the base station, the Samsung Gear charging station that comes with them. The solution is well, you have to have a more modern phone that has power share and use the power share on your phone to that device and let it sit for essentially a couple of hours to get the charge back up. I was able to find a temporary replacement motherboard for it on eBay for $15, but it won't have the pedometer or the heart rate monitor, and that's going to allow me test the rest of the functionality of the device, make sure the screen works, and make sure there actually is a problem with the motherboard and not the screen. I will be keeping my eyes open on eBay for other of the Gear S3s that look promising. I will have plenty of replacement parts at this point. If I can find one that just has a dead battery or a broken screen, I'll be good to go. But like I said, I want to get the test board first just so I can make sure that I actually know what the issue is. I should mention that the item was water damaged when I first got it. It wasn't supposed to be, but I guess sweat or something got in through the mic hole or whatever's there. And I went through the normal process to try and fix that, which is just, IPA and a toothbrush. And yeah, I still didn't get any responses from the device. I was really surprised when I opened it up. The guy said it had been sitting for 6 months, and the battery was, even after sitting for 6 months, was at 3.8 volts on a 4.4 volt battery. Lots of exercise while on vacation. I've actually gotten back into bike riding, and I'd never stopped weightlifting, but I've been doing more weightlifting, and I guess that's a nice thing about being on vacation. I have more time for that. But yeah, I've been trying to get in 5 miles of bike riding 3 nights a week, and that's been working out pretty well. And crazily, someone got me for Christmas an arcade 1-up machine, and the Space Invaders version. Really cool. It's an expensive gift to have come from someone outside of my family. Probably one of the cooler gifts that I've ever gotten. Definitely going to be modding it after a whole bunch of research, which I've already started, of course. I've already built several USB encoders in the past, so that won't be much of an issue. I do have that 3B Plus that I could use, or the Batacera ThinkPad. So I should be able to easily hook up a keyboard for quick fixes and setup with that, but I may have to drill a hole in the side for external USB ports, and I'm somewhat okay with that. I think I can just cut new front panels for it and set up various control systems through that. I need to order the display adapter, and I really haven't decided how I want the control setup to be yet. I want to be able to play the most amount of games possible, including fighting games, but that might be hard considering that a lot of the fighting games require shoulder buttons, and that could be a bit more difficult. Yeah, I can just set up a button anywhere, but you only have so many fingers.
Does it do Bluetooth controllers?
It'll do whatever I tell it to once I hook a laptop or a 3B Plus up to it.
Oh yeah, I got you. Use the what is it? The 8-bit Do or 8-bit Do controllers. They look like the old Super Nintendo controllers.
I will it is in my notes here mentioning this, but like I said, with that USB port set up on the side, I can just hook up an Xbox One controller to it if I really want to.
Yeah, I've fallen in love with the 8-bit ones just because their shape is iconic, man. That's the old Super Nintendo shape, and they've added a bunch of stuff to it, like the 2 joysticks, 2 extra shoulder buttons, and something else in the middle. I can't remember, but they're just really good controllers, and Especially, I guess, if you have smaller hands and Xbox or PlayStation, the new PlayStation controllers feel a little big.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I honestly thought about because like a full set of buttons, arcade style buttons is about $25, and then a USB encoder is about another $15, and then there's the labor that goes into it and the software that would go into it, and I can get an arcade style controller for about $50.
You can't count the labor. That's like love cost. It's a labor of love.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I enjoy doing that type of thing, but still, when you're looking at the difference in price, it's almost worth it to do both, and then just have different front panels that you can swap out. Because then I could get the arcade set up and run that through USB, and that would be a very Sega Genesis style controller, 6 to 8 buttons on one side, and then the joystick on the other side, and then later on take my time and do a proper arcade setup, and then just have it modular in the front right there where I can pull one out and set the other one in. But first, I'm going to put it together stock and play with it like that. I would have done it today if I didn't have something to do. But that's really all I've been up to, and that's my plans for probably the next week while I'm still on vacation. I go back to work on the 4th. Tony Hughes, what have you been up to?
Oh, well, it's mainly been Christmas stuff this time. We enjoyed Christmas as much as possible with the restrictions here in the UK. We had a guest for lunch on Christmas Day, which I cooked. And after he went home, we went for a Christmas walk and popped round to a relative's house just to say hi. And he only lives 10 minutes away. And we were in there in time to say hi to some of my wife's cousins and her aunt on Zoom. They were doing a Zoom call. So we stayed about 5 minutes and then left, but it was nice to connect with family on the holiday. It was good. But for the last week or so, it's been mainly preparing for Christmas Day. I've been baking traditional mince pies that we have here in the UK. Not sure if it's much of a custom over in the States, but it definitely is over here. Shopping and preparing everything for the Christmas meal.
Hold on.
It is in some areas, Tony.
Yeah. What is a mince pie? Hold on. What?
It's got it's a little pastry with what we call mincemeat. Traditionally, 500 years ago, it was actually made with meat and dried fruits and stuff. That's why they call them mince pies, because it was made with mincemeat. And but they've for the last 100 years, 150 years, it's just been dried fruit and spices and things like that that are made into a mincemeat.
So
I know I had it in my family, but we were kind of weird out in California, so I don't think it went to Texas. Some of my family spent some time in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Is mincemeat the same as ground meat here?
No.
Yeah. You call it ground meat, we call it mincemeat.
Okay, so
like I say, these days they don't actually contain meat anymore.
Got it. Yeah.
They only
would a
contain the
shepherd's
fruit.
pie be a mincemeat pie?
Shepherd's pie is usually made with minced lamb with a potato topping, and cottage pie is usually made with beef.
Okay, so not quite the same, but we have empanadas, which are kind of like that. They're like hand pies, and you can put like mincemeat in them, so maybe not too far away.
Yeah, well,
empanadas are a pastry.
Yeah, I was going to say they're more like what we would call a pasty.
Okay.
Which is a hand pie. But anyway, back to what I've been doing. So I cooked the chicken the night before to give me oven space for the actual day of Christmas. There's only 2 meat eaters, my wife and the guest. But there was plenty left over for our friend to take a doggy bag home and my wife to have leftovers for the last couple of days. But apart from that, it's been fairly quiet and chilled out over Christmas. I've done a little bit of modelling, and I got a couple of model related presents, some model supplies and stuff. But yeah, it's been quite chilled out. Oh, and I got a cookbook. I'm sure you've heard of Jamie Oliver over there. I got his latest cookbook.
Very cool.
So yeah, he did a cookbook all veggie food. So yeah, that was nice. So Moss, what have you been doing?
Well, I did drop a link for the Wikipedia article on mincemeat for those of you on the show into the Mumble Room. I received some fuel money from my old friend Firecat, which allowed me to get the computer desk, UPS, and monitor I needed to finish setting up my studio space. I need to get a drill bit so I can mount my mic boom, and then I'll be done. I got a new sponsor on sponsors, my second. 398 more and I can quit my job. I've been hunting for that next great distro to review. I installed Ultimate Edition, which looked really great, like a major media company wanted to make Ubuntu look flashy, but it didn't write grub anywhere it can find. I tried Magia 8 Beta 2, but couldn't find out how to use or install DNF Dragora, which is listed as a second choice in package management. It would be my first choice. I tried to install Slacks and Solid K, but they refused to install on a UEFI system. So I installed Ubuntu 2010. I don't think we've reviewed anything with an LX-type desktop yet on DistroHubs. I've had no issues, and LXQT like it has come of age at last. Just prior to yesterday's team meeting, I decided to reinstall Mint 20 on my desktop and restore it from my latest timeshift backup. Nope. I have not yet had any luck with timeshift. I'm looking for another backup solution because it is not a solution for me. I then spent several hours trying different things, and the ultimate solution was to nuke the SSD and start over. I installed Linux Mint 20 Mate on it, and I was going to leave it there, but I just couldn't. So I split the SSD in half, partition people, I'm not a lunatic, and split the second half 2/3, 1/3. I put OpenMandriva LX 4.1 on the larger partition and Bodhi 5.1 on the smaller. I have those two mostly set up, and as of right now, I'm 100%, I think, on the Mint partition being back up to snuff. I've had a few promises of articles for itsmoss.com, but nothing has been submitted. mintCast listeners, this is for you. Please submit stuff. I've kept up with a couple of blog posts of mine, usually echoed to my blog at linuxquestions.org. Mom is still in the rehab home and has to pay for her room now as she ran out of days that were covered by Medicare. There are other family issues. My uncle and aunt moved from their home in Yakima, Washington to a senior center in Utah, but my aunt was seriously injured on the trip and had to spend some time in the hospital and rehab before moving on to Utah and died shortly after arriving. During this, my uncle went to the hospital with COVID, but he's back at the center and doing okay. He was back home with his wife before she passed. We have been running out of shows to watch, so we went scanning for old ones we missed. I don't know how we missed Haven, but it's on the list now. And we also found Lock and Key, sort of the same thing as Stranger Things, but based on a comic. And to keep things light, Mr. Iglesias, a Welcome Back Kotter remake using comedian Gabriel Iglesias and a mostly minority cast, taking place in his native Long Beach, which is also where my grandmother lives. Was about 15 minutes drive from where I live, so I know some of the places. Dresden-wise, we have started Book 9, White Knight. And that's about it for me. Someone says my audio is choppy. I'm sorry for that.
I don't know that it is. It could just be my Wi-Fi. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I was hearing you a little bit choppy too, but I figure what the heck, it's on Audacity. It'll straighten out in the mix.
Yeah, definitely.
Sounds like an internet connection problem on your end, Moss.
Well, I will go check my router. While in the meantime, let's hear from Eric. What you been up to, Eric?
Well, thanks, guys. It's been a while since I've been on the show, so thanks for having me back.
Of course. Glad to have you.
Yeah, it's great.
So one thing, when I went to the office so I could be on decent internet, the kids asked if I was going to be on their tablet talking. So hi, kids. But speaking of the office, it's about 6 months since I've been on the show. We did get Mint 20 on all of our production machines, so that went very well. And Mint 20 has been very stable for us. Seems like the only issues that we really have with our computers is with Windows on our VM, but everything that runs in Linux and all the applications have been very, very stable. Makes for not a lot of IT effort on our part, other than trying to keep Windows running. Which, speaking of that, so we do run Windows in a virtual machine for some of the software, and we had to put Microsoft Office suite on the machines. We have some old actual physical CDs, and so we did a local install, and we need that for some old spreadsheets, design spreadsheets that have some macros in them. LibreOffice and the other Office suites are pretty good, but they just can't do the Microsoft macros. And I forgot how long it takes to install Microsoft products. Holy cow.
Oh man, how long do you sit at the preparing stage?
Right. And then it says you can do something while it's installing. Well, I'm making sure this installs right, because one didn't. So it's like, no, I have to stay here, and it just takes forever.
Yep, and there's no telling how much you actually have to babysit the thing. It'll just pop up and be like, "Hey, what about this?"
Exactly. Click. Keep clicking. So Elsa, at the office, we've actually been looking at a lot of different stuff at the office. We're looking at switching away from AutoCAD. One of my predictions is that we would have AutoCAD on Linux, and we're actually looking at switching to a Linux native CAD program called BricsCAD. It's used by a fair amount of large companies, and if I remember right, it's based out of Belgium, I think. But that is actually looking like a strong contender. We might replace all of our two-dimensional drafting needs and some of our three-dimensional design work with one program. And right now we use two. So that's interesting. That's something that we're looking at over the Christmas break here.
Would Bricks be able to do everything you need it to do, or is there still stuff that AutoCAD is required for?
It can do everything that AutoCAD can do. It can't do some of the 3D work that we use another program called Carlson to do. In the Linux version, in the Windows version of BricsCAD, they have some add-ons, and those add-on programs would give us a complete solution.
Oh, okay. So it's a matter of porting those extras to Linux.
Or we still have to use a VM, which isn't the end of the world. But if we can operate 90% of the time on the Linux side, it will just speed up our process. Because I think a lot of our hang-up right now is using the VM and trying to get all the hardware acceleration through. That's when we get big designs and big files, lots of data points going on. That's when the VM and AutoCAD slows down quite a bit.
But you're chipping away at it, so that's really cool.
Yep, we're making progress, so that's a plus. So we got also at the office, we got a Intel NUC with Nextcloud installed on it, pre-configured Nextcloud installation. I really have really like these NUC. They're, for those of you that don't know, it's about the size. It's about 4x4 square. So it's like the size of like about
two
like
hockey pucks stacked.
Yes, there you go. Two hockey pucks stacked and just rectangular square. But they're passively cooled. There's no fans in them. Pretty much enough room to plug your ports in, and they have a fair amount of USB and Ethernet and HDMI ports, and you can fit a regular spinning hard drive in them. So the one that we got for Nextcloud is a customized version of Arch that's tuned to run Nextcloud, and it has a SSD in it, so it's a real snappy machine, even though it's got a Celeron processor in it.
Well,
And
some
Go
of
ahead,
them, some of them can fit 2.5 drives in, and those
Correct,
are
not
usually
all
the
of 'em.
extended ones. Some of them can only fit like an M.2 drive in them, and yeah, they are really awesome devices. I mean, palm of your hand, a full desktop machine.
yes, I would agree. If you were to be doing internet browsing, some simple word processing, some simple spreadsheets, this would be a very nice, full functioning, and relatively cheap desktop computer for you. So with Nextcloud, now I just have to wrap my head around using Nextcloud at the office. But I think that's going to be our solution for like a shared calendar source and a couple other things amongst the team at the office. So since we like these Intel NUCs so much, we have been looking for a while for a small off-site remote backup solution, basically a nightly, you know, sync to our NAS backup that's off-site. So seeing these NUCs, we got 2 of them to use. It's these. Again, with the Celeron, got a 1 terabyte spinning hard drive in them. Had to make sure that I got the right memory, because the first memory I didn't get the right. I got DDR3 instead of DDR4, and they don't fit. So waiting for the DDR4 memory, and the idea is that we're going to have probably a minimal installation of Ubuntu server, or maybe Debian on it, and then use rsync as the transfer system. And I haven't gotten into this yet, but the one thing that I'm trying to figure out, because they're going to be offsite and in perhaps not a secure location, it'd be nice to have these encrypted and potentially encrypted at rest. So if anyone has any ideas, I'm all ears.
Are you thinking like full disk encryption in Ubuntu?
Well, the one thing I'm worried about with full disk encryption, because I've thought about that, is if I'm, I need to like remote SSH into these, and if you have to type your encryption password in for it to start up, say a power outage or whatever, that's not really gonna work.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So that's why I'm thinking having the files themselves, having the machine unencrypted, having the files themselves encrypted.
Okay. Well, I know that you
What?
can do like a single folder encryption if you need to.
Can't you encrypt the home folder, and that basically encrypts everything except for the operating system itself?
Well, the home folder is typically globally readable. Well, I guess it doesn't really matter. It should be fine as long as you don't have access to the key.
Yeah, see, it's a little bit of a predicament, and I've looked at some. I've looked at like Duplicati and a couple other programs that are services. I'd like to do it myself, but like Duplicati would probably work, and it has a transfer or it transfers encrypted within the program.
Well,
but
and then
it doesn't
another
work
thing,
off of a NAS.
Another thing you might want to consider then is so the server that houses all of the data that you'll be accessing, have it encrypt there, like in an encrypted archive before you send it over. That way, the only thing that's living on the remote machine is just an encrypted archive.
That sounds like it'll work. Yeah.
Ubuntu allows you to do the home folder encryption on installation, but you can also do it after installation, and that should allow it to start up and then allow you to also decrypt it when you log in.
Right, and so if you decide to go with the encrypted compressed archive, you can do that with 7-zip, and all of those tools are just in the repo for Ubuntu. So I think you just have to provide or have and provide a key every time you do it, which as long as it resides on the server that you're archiving on, then you should be golden.
Both of those are great ideas. See, I just had to bring it up.
See, that's it. That's it.
Whoever said computers would solve all our problems did not know anything about the problems it would cause.
Right.
So a couple more things that I've been up to lately is we're creating workstations for our kids at home out of Raspberry Pis. So we got some Pi 4Bs with 4 gigabytes and hoping they can be a desktop replacement. But we have individual desks for the kids already. And now instead of them taking our tablet or our laptop, we're just going to give them a Raspberry Pi and a keyboard and a mouse and a monitor and just bolt it right to the wall behind their desk. And I got them all, just need the monitors. So that was going to be a Christmas present that didn't happen. But then the last but not least, I got a Pine phone. So I got the Monjero Community Edition Pine phone, and it's a very, very nice build quality, especially for the pay or the cost of it. It's very comparable size-wise, almost identical to my Samsung S7, but everything fits on it real nice. It's got a replaceable battery. You actually take the back off to get to the SIM card and battery.
I miss replaceable batteries.
Oh, it's sure nice to have. I'm not gonna lie. And so it actually comes with a screen protector right on it, which I was pretty happy with, because there's not necessarily cases for these, just because they're so new. But I did try. So on this has the Manjaro operating system, which is Fosh, which is basically like a mobile GNOME, from what I understand. And it is a little buggy. It's not bad. If you're running it on Wi-Fi, it works just fine. The apps work, like Telegram works fine. Firefox works wonderful. The Maps program works well. Camera seems to work well. There is a terminal on it, so you can type away as if you're on a computer. That's kind of neat to see on such a small device. But I haven't been able to get it to dial out yet. It will dial, but it won't make a phone call. So I don't know if there's something that I haven't set up right with the SIM card. But one thing I did notice is like some of the setup windows, setup menus, I don't know if it's designed for a bigger screen, the operating system, but you can't select, like the select button is off of the screen. You can see it on the preview and you can see where it is, but it's like up and off to the right or up and off to the left of the screen, and you can't move the screen around to get to it. So it is a little bit buggy. So I'm thinking what I'm going to do, I'll probably leave Manjaro on the phone, and then these phones now, the newer ones, you can boot off of a SD card. There's a SD card slot in them.
I was going to ask you about that because I know that there is a multi-boot that you can set up that's available now for the Pine phone.
Yeah, and I actually, since I talked to you guys yesterday on the pre-show, I saw a YouTube of that where someone had like 15 different OSs on this
My
boot
kind of
manager.
guy.
I was thinking of that, Moss. And from what I can tell, it looks like, at least according to the research I've done, that Sailfish OS or Ubuntu Touch are maybe the most polished right now. And Moss sent me a note that said to check out both the however you pronounce that operating system, the /E/ and Lineage OS. And I have been looking at Lineage OS, and they don't actually have a build for the Pine phone, but it does look like they have a generic build, so I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, you should jump on to the Linux Lugcast and talk to Honky Magoo. He also has a Pine phone, and he's tried out several different operating systems on it.
If anyone wants to donate me a Pine phone, I'm all for it.
Well, the idea again, we're looking at it for the office is with everybody working remotely now, and for my staff, we had not provided them cell phones, but what we'd like to do is provide them cell phones, and for a couple reasons, but compelling to have a fully functional smartphone at $150 that has decent build quality, and then we know that it's secure on the operating system level is a very compelling argument. And so part of it was just research to look at the build quality, and tell you what, I am impressed with this phone. I mean, it's a little bit heavier than the S7. Now, I think that's probably due to the battery, but it's the screen's actually a little bit larger than the S7, and I keep referencing that because I'm on my third S7, but
I know you said that it won't do regular dial-out calls. Have you tried Hangouts calls or VoIP calls?
I have not tried that. Mainly because at home my internet's so bad I can't, but at the office I could probably do that.
Yeah, you can make phone calls on Telegram.
I will have to try that.
And basically everybody I know from work uses WhatsApp. So I end up calling a lot of people in India using WhatsApp. Or WhatsApp web.
So I also got this phone has the convergence package with it, and I have not tried that yet. So a couple things to try in this before I give it a full review, but so far I'm impressed, and the OS just looks like it needs to be maybe polished a little bit, but it seems like it's pretty far along.
Man, that's
like
good
I
news.
told you in the pre-show, if you do go for E, you should also get a hold of Ubuntu Web, because it merges with the ecosystem, and so you would have real convergence there. Always got to put in a plug for Rudra.
True. All right. Well, is that it?
Yep. That's
Okay.
those are my all things Linuxes.
Very cool. Well, then we'll talk about more Linux in the news. News. We got a lot of news. Not the news I wanted to hear, but the precursor to that news. Linux Mint 20.1 beta is available now. Yeah. So I've given it a shot. It seems to me the most present, I guess, thing that I noticed was Cinnamon is snappier now. So I was actually pretty impressed with just how snappy things seem to be. Has anybody given the beta a shot?
Not yet.
Nobody. It's been out for like a week now, guys.
I like stability.
It's stable.
I
Actually,
use these systems for work.
Oh, I gotcha. It's been
I
out for
don't do
11
beta.
days since. It's been out for 11 days. So,
Let's see if Cinnamon is still snappy when it comes out of beta.
oh, it would be. Honestly, I would not be surprised if it was even more snappy by the time we actually see it in release. So, just as a refresher, don't forget, in 20.1, you get the web apps app. So an app for apps, right? That allows you to just kind of enclose a YouTube page or something like that within its own app, so you can pin the icon and you can just keep it nice, especially if you want it to have a separate profile. You also get Hypnotics, which is the IPTV player. Does not come with content outside of one channel, which is kid-friendly, but there are tons of channels out there, and there's the initial feedback that I've been seeing in the Telegram group is pretty positive, even though the main criticism of Hypnotics was, who wants this? Yeah, but it seems like lots of people are trying it out at the very least. And if nothing else, it's good for background noise. If you liked TV back in the 90s and early 2000s where, all you got was 20 minutes of show and 8.5 minutes of commercials, that's about right. There are channels that
Pluto
don't have
TV.
that, but yeah, exactly, right, that kind of deal. As well, Nemo's getting some upgrades, getting some revamped favorites. So you could favorite things before, but now we're down to single file level favorites. You can add them off to the side so you can get to them very, very easily. But the coolest part about this is that when you favorite something, in the tray, you get a little star icon that you can access your stuff from. So you don't even have to open Nemo to get to the favorites. And on the bright side, you don't have to clutter up your desktop. Though I know some people like to. Stuff ends up on my desktop all the time that I'm using, that I'm actively clicking on and using a lot. So I totally get it. But favorites to the rescue, maybe. Give that a shot when you give 20.1 a spin. Cinnamon 4.8, here's where all the snappiness is coming from. You're getting better flatpak support. You're getting a percentage in the sound volume on-screen display, right? I use this all the time. Scroll up, scroll down, and get sound, but the only place I would see the percentage is on the little sound icon itself, not on the big display on the screen, which was not really even annoying, but it was just kind of a nice to have. Well, now it's nice to have. So, as well, scrolling in the quick list applet, configuring the scrolling direction in the workspace switcher applet, and lots of fun stuff. Oh, and thumbnails for up to 64 gigabyte files in Nemo, right? Just after we got Nemo fast, we're gonna try and throw 64 gig file thumbnails at you. Some printing improvements, XApps, and system improvements for speed. Yeah, really nice stuff coming in 20.1. So I'm excited for it. Yeah, it's gonna be good.
Just downloaded the Marte ISO. I'll have a play later.
Give it a shot, and it probably won't be very long before we actually see the release. So it's imminent. It's imminent. Clem is really good about giving us stuff on Christmas, so it's soon.
Yeah, we might get it for the new year.
There you go.
Leo, you had mentioned Nemo on the new 20.1.
Yes.
I forgot that on the Pine phone with Manjaro, Nemo is the default file manager.
Get out of here.
Nope.
That's cool.
I had to do a triple check, and sure enough.
Wow, that's so awesome. Nemo is making waves, man. It's even on your phone. That's so cool. All right, Moss, you got a bucket of chicken and some games to play, it sounds like.
Yep, says back in June, just after the PS5 reveal, KFC released a ridiculous trailer for the KFC console, but everyone just figured they were joking. Turns out they were dead serious. KFC, the chicken place, has teamed up with Cooler Master and launched a gaming console capable of 4K and 240 FPS. The joint press release doesn't mention a price or release date, but the article that I have linked in the show notes will have updates as they come in. So, boom, checkmate, winner, winner, chicken dinner.
All right, so I hate the way that they characterize this as a competitor to the Xbox. It is not. It is a competitor to the PC market. They're just, the games are not the same. They're not one-to-one. Certainly there are a lot of games that overlap, but they're not
Hype
one-to-one.
will be hype.
It's very true, though. It's very true, right? You got to call it the iPhone killer and then get shot down, right? That's usually how it works. And so this is actually not a bad machine. It's looking like a NUC 9, which comes with an i9-9980HK processor, which is a 8-core 16-thread chip at 45 watts, It's pretty decent, and it can boost up to 5 gigahertz. Well, it's just on a single core, the way that it normally is, but still not bad. I would assume they're not using the i5 9300H in this. I don't know, chicken warming. Did we mention the chicken warming part, right?
Did they plan for how the chicken grease would drip into the innards of the computer?
Listen, it literally says it warms your chicken, does it not? Maybe that was just the tongue-in-cheek part of it. No, it literally says built-in chicken warmer. Yeah, so there's a chicken warmer in this, and here's the recycle part, right? Like, you got to reuse the heat that's coming off of that processor. Maybe they just took the heatsink and fan straight off of it, or the heatsink off of it because they're fanless, right? And then just let it, the whole chicken warmer thing is just a big old heatsink. Maybe that's how that's working.
Well, back in the late 80s, I was married to a woman that was a software engineer at Digital, and she actually ran her own VAX cluster, and she said that we're using the VAX clusters to form their lunches. So,
Well,
this is not a new concept.
Exactly, but now your whole house, everybody knows that you're playing games because your whole house is going to smell like chicken.
Right.
Oh man. Yeah, and you never get chicken grease fully off of everything. You know what I mean? So I mean, you put that in the dishwasher, let's hope it's dishwasher ready. But yeah, and that's, speaking of dishwasher ready, that's not even a bullet point on a list of a computer that I would ever want to see. Like, it's got an i9, it's got a 256 gig SSD, it's dishwasher ready. Wait, what?
Well, sometimes you want to see that on your keyboard.
I want to buy the Popeyes model.
Yeah, there, right? See, that one comes with the sandwiches. That's got a sandwich warmer in it. Ah, man.
I have seen people put the keyboards in the dishwasher, and it works
Exactly.
afterwards.
Yeah, as long as you let it fully dry and you don't have like crazy hard water, you'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
But so this is for real, right? It's going to come with a 1 terabyte SSD, and they're marketing with Cooler Master. And so, I mean, they're a pretty big name. And KFC has sponsors gaming groups. Cooler Master does the same thing.
Okay.
This is for real. Like, it's really going to happen, and there's really going to be a chicken
right.
warmer on top of your CPU.
Here's a big thing that they have listed in here. The KFC console has a first of its kind hot swappable GPU slot for easy upgrades.
Yeah, exactly. Don't get grease on it, but when you do swap it out, like, this is going to be one of those PCs that will last you longer than you might expect. I don't know what to think about this. I do not know. Did anybody ask for this? Who asked the monkey paw for this?
Right.
PepsiCo.
The picture looks
actually
like
Yum
one
Corp.
of those Mac trash cans.
Oh yeah, it does look like that, doesn't it? But they moved on to the cheese grater. But it really does. It's just a cylinder with a little pop-out shelf to put your Wow, that's such a weird thing to say. But, it's 2020, so why not?
I don't think they're expecting too much grease to get inside, because it says down below that it's a place to keep your chicken warm. So I assume you're putting it on a plate, a little plate as it were, and putting it inside and letting the heat from the computer itself just keep it slightly above room temperature.
One must not assume.
I was gonna say, I'm gonna wait until I can read the warranty verbiage on that to know exactly what they're talking about.
Yeah.
when it's like, not responsible for grease, like, well, nope, can't buy it, can't have it.
Yeah, computers and grease fires probably go really well together.
Oh Lord, man, not a good combo. But I mean, for all the stuff that's going in here, just never put chicken in it, and it will probably still be a really decent machine for a long
Depends on
time
the
to
price. I mean, if they're going to sell it at an insanely low price, hoping you'll go buy more chicken, then maybe.
It's like it's a 24/7 ad. Every time you walk past it, it's going to say KFC on it, and you'll see it out of the corner of your eye, and you'll be like, do I want some chicken? It's genius marketing.
Maybe it'll come with a year's supply of chicken coupons.
Now we're talking.
Is this the first time KFC has busted into the gaming market?
No, they sponsor gaming teams. I mean, as far as hardware, yes, I would imagine, but not in the scene at large. Something to think about. I mean, you know what? You know where you're going to see these, and I guarantee you they're going to pay the players extra. No, like in tournaments. You're going to see these in tournaments, and you're going to see in between matches, you're going to see them reach in, pull out some chicken or something else warm, and eat it, and be like, "Hey, you should buy one of those."
It's definitely going to be able to have a processor to be able to do that, but they're going to have specially made GPUs, I would assume, for that hot swappable capability.
You just grab the stubby versions. I know the 2080 had one, or 2070 maybe. It was just like a stubby MITX kind of flavored one. Yeah.
Well, laptops do have the specific laptops. I think the Dell range had those interchangeable graphics cards that were mobile, and those might work, but then that's not really, competitive level gaming. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Well,
I want to see one of these with a 3090 in it.
Well, the larger Skull Canyon Nux can take a full-size GPU. It's got to be just the stubby version, but it's the same. It's the same power usage and same output. Do they make
a stubby 3090?
3090, you're not getting that for anything KFC's going to give you. But 3080, maybe 3070.
Well,
yeah.
If they're planning on taking it to tournaments and it's hot swappable, I'm just wondering if they could, put in a 3090.
I don't know if anybody's tournamenting on a 3090, but I mean, yeah, you're not getting that in your KFC box. Let's just put it that way.
Honestly, I think it's a little difficult right now to get a 3090. Aren't they?
You can't
stock?
get. Yeah, you can't get the 3000 series NVIDIA, you can't get the 6000 series AMD, and you can't get the 5000 series AMD CPUs. So, yeah, basically anything that has been released in the past 2 months, you just can't buy.
Oh. Sold out. Yep, sold out at Best Buy. You can't get them.
Oh, they're nowhere. They're nowhere. They do pop up every now and then at the normalish price, but they're gone in 30 seconds. Those bots
but we
are good,
can tell you what you can buy.
An Odroid handheld, right?
An Odroid handheld, yeah, $80. Runs Ubuntu. Looks like a Switch. Says,
that's that cool one. Yeah.
Yeah. The Odroid Go Super runs Ubuntu 24 LTS and the emulation station front end, meaning, yes, it supports a wide range of classic gaming content and from the likes of Nintendo, Sony, and Atari. It's from Korean maker Hard Kernel.
Does it have it does have USB ports on the bottom. So if it's running Ubuntu, you could drop down to terminal and put a proper desktop on it, or run Plex on it.
Yeah, just plug in a keyboard and you're good to go. If you like a 5-inch screen.
Well, we want phones that have Linux on it, so
just get the whole ecosystem from top to bottom, right?
Yeah.
Everything you run has Linux on it.
Well, most everything you have runs Linux anyway.
Give it time.
Yeah, but all this for $80.
Yeah, can't complain, man. Do we know if it does Nintendo 64? It's my sole focus is to get something that'll play Nintendo 64 that is not my main desktop where I can take it around.
It says it supports a wide range of classic gaming content from Nintendo, Sony, and Atari.
Yeah, well, when they say classic, it could just mean regular, original Nintendo, which is fine.
Well, whatever emulation station runs.
Yeah.
Oh, well, $80. Go to it.
Not bad. Not bad. Next up, Gnome 40 is ready for GTK 4 and brings a lot of changes. Have you guys seen the new fancy Gnome 40 changes? If you haven't, click on that link. Go look. I need you to see this, and I need you to tell me whether or not you love this or no. None of us in the entire show run GNOME regularly, right?
Right.
Nope.
So
Nope.
from the outside looking in, look at this, and what do you think? So when you hit the super key, you get the activities, and that shows you all your apps on the bottom, and it like pops out instead of just makes them small and kind of sorts them a little bit. It pops out all of your applications. What do you guys think about that?
To be honest with you, GNOME is the reason I landed on Cinnamon.
So I'm gonna take that as it's fine, whatever.
Same thing here for
fine.
Matei.
I kind of like the vibe that they're giving. The when you hit the activities menu before, it didn't really focus on activities, right? It almost even grayed them out. But now it seems like the focus really is on, when you smash that button, you see everything kind of come closer to you, so you can get a better view on what you're doing and take a click, or actually select what it is that you might have lost in the clutter. So overall, I think it's a pretty good change, but it's still GNOME. So yeah, if you're not a GNOME fan, it's not gonna wow you. They've also got customizable app grid, which is cool. This is something that I could not understand why it didn't exist in the first place, because once you got a certain number of apps and you would hit the activity menu, you would see, or you would open up, wherever the apps are on the app grid, you would see all the apps that started with the letter A through the letter F, and then after that, you were just you had to scroll and hope and find and maybe. So now you can actually put your most favorite apps that aren't on the launcher up top, and that's nice. So navigation seems like it's a little bit better. When you open up that activities menu again, you can easily get to the workspaces, and it's not off to the right-hand side anymore. It's right up at the top, so it is in focus. I think those changes in general do make GNOME a little bit more compelling, because it really puts into focus all the things that you're trying to get done, I guess. Search overlay saw some revamps. The autocomplete saw is seeing some changes, and the extensions, GNOME extensions. This is one of the biggest reasons I left GNOME. You get something working the way you want, and then you update, and then it's like everything's blown up. Why would it be that way? It doesn't work that way in Ubuntu, because you're stuck on a version, whatever version comes with that version of Ubuntu. So you don't really see it that often. But if you're going from 6-month release to 6-month release, and you didn't wait, good luck. Good luck. Those extensions probably don't work yet. So they're looking at working with the extension makers to make that a more seamless process. So that's going to be nice. And of course, GTK4. It's all based on GTK4, which just came out as well. So cool. Hopefully some performance increases out of that.
So what about that other desktop everyone hates?
Listen. That's just too fast, Moss. Too many changes, too fast. The fervor of the community will come lash out at you.
We're talking XFCE 4.16 being released.
Look, honestly, I don't think they're moving fast enough. But I don't use XFCE, so I don't really get to talk too terribly much about this. Hey, they finally dropped
GTK2.
Woohoo! And GTK4 is out. Yay! So, it seems like there is a lot of backlash about the amount of changes happening in 4.16. And that is okay, it's really not that surprising. If you love yourself some XFCE, maybe not on Linux Mint, not one of the modified versions of it, but just XFCE like in Ubuntu or in Fedora or something like that, you're not used to changes. Things don't change like ever. How long, Moss, did you say it took for 4.12 to 4.14? How long was that?
Wasn't it 4 years?
Good, yeah. That sounds about right. But 4.14 to 4.16 was 1. Is that right?
And with all new icons too.
Yeah. Now, okay. You know what? You don't even get to complain about the icons. Icons don't really change the way that you interact with the desktop. So, I feel like that's a good change in the sea of stuff that you may not like because it's coming at you too fast. I feel like that's one that you can just take as a win, right? Because they're just icons. Maybe not. Someone's going to complain about that too. But in all seriousness, these are much needed changes. These are speed changes. These are a little bit of graphical changes, some display dialogue changes, but I think it's really booting 4.16 into the 2020s, which is gonna be good overall. So hopefully, these changes annoy you for a little bit, but you get used to them, and 4.16 is the new XFCE. But those icons, seriously, I want those icons. Those icons are nice. It's like Adwaita icons, but with papyrus. Like if Adwaita and papyrus had a baby, that would be these. And I love papyrus. Those are my favorite icons. I put them everywhere. This is going to be a nice contender for switching it up. I like them a lot.
Well, you know where you're going to be able to read about that in a couple of issues.
Where?
Full Circle Magazine.
Yeah.
Which has a new issue 164 out.
Yeah. So if you were included in episode or in issue 164, congratulations on that. I'm excited to read it. I haven't gotten into
Does
it yet.
that include Tony Hughes?
Who might have one of these? What?
Oh, there just might be a part 6 of my current series in this release.
Yes. So go check that out. Tony, what's it over?
It's podcast production.
Yes. Very cool. And you see, Tony, I don't even know how you would know about podcast production. What kind of podcast production do you do?
Not a thing. No, you wouldn't.
Not a lot. Used to do this little one here, but that's been taken over by someone else. And Distro Hoppers Digest, just a minor little thing.
Yeah,
Nobody cares about that one. We only get about 600 people, you know.
And the takeover, not just anyone, but Owen Peary. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
That has freed me up to do more podcast production as well for Linux User Space. I thought I got away from it. I thought Owen rescued me. And then Rocco went on hiatus, and it's like, well, all right, I guess I'm editing the show now. But that's cool. Take a read on that. We're going to have to get Owen to add his own into Full Circle one of these days because he is diving into Ardour and making some waves. I got to say, some of the previews that I have heard from him doing our show in Ardour, fantastic. I can't believe how good they have come out. It's got a real radio vibe to it. So, yeah, look forward to that. I don't think it's ready just yet, but he's hammering away on it. Sounding good so far.
Yeah, they were planning on publishing my article on Ventoy, but by now there's probably 15 better articles out there than mine.
Well, keep trucking. Get something in there. And Durden 0.6, the display thing you never heard of before ever until right now. It's a replacement for Wayland and X. Moss, why do I need to know about this one?
I don't know. Why do you need to know about this one?
Oh, well, their logo is actually pretty cool. It's the Anarchy logo. So, if you have any
it's
anarchist
part of the
tendencies.
Arcan project.
Ah, very cool.
Apparently, the closest valid comparison is Awesome WM.
Oh, okay. Speaking of Linux User Space, we just talked about Awesome WM for a little bit. So, interesting. Very cool.
But anyhow, if anyone's going to use this, we will know about it sooner or later.
Yeah.
And it just crossed our radar, and I'm going, Jay, does anyone know anything about that? So I guess not. So I put it in the show notes so we would start looking at it.
Very cool. Well, I'll keep an ear out for it. But that will do it for our news. So let's strap our tinfoil hats and head down to the security update. I'm just kidding. Take your tinfoil hat off. None of this is speculation. Okay, there is a little bit of speculation, but I will warn you in advance. But if you haven't heard of the teeny tiny little bitty Austin-based IT group named SolarWinds, only like 1 or 2 people work for them. No, they are a larger IT group. And if you work in IT, I would be surprised to hear that you do not know about SolarWinds. These people, I can almost guarantee you, if you've accidentally signed up for absolutely anything on the internet and put IT in the description, they have called you. They have called you on the phone and asked what they can do for you. And if for some reason you have downloaded one of their trials, they called you to check up on you, just how that trial was going. And they called you again just to find out if you had considered maybe purchasing that. And then they called you again to ask again, just in case. Did you purchase that? Have you purchased that yet? Are you considering purchasing that? When do you think you might purchase this particular software in the future? Are you planning on purchasing anything from that's quite literally the conversation every single time. They'll call you all the time. It's you've heard of SolarWinds if you're in IT. So anyway, there happened to be a little bit of a hack in the past few, well, turns out months, not weeks, but we just learned about it in the past couple of weeks. So here's the deal. As far as we know, malicious updates of SolarWinds Orion network outage monitoring utility were released. Malicious updates were released to that software back in March, right at the beginning of the pandemic, when everybody was getting revved up to do working from home. Yeah. So FireEye, a company that uses SolarWinds, discovered it this month because they happened to be hacked. This is how they caught on. Initially, weird network traffic. Well, it would be FireEye because these people are the purveyors of weird network traffic. They create a lot of reconnaissance and hacking tools for penetration testers, right? Well, there's a big downside to this. Turns out a lot of that software is now out in the wild, or at least in the hands of the people that got the initial malicious updates to Orion. So, not good, but it doesn't end there. Turns out, FireEye being one of them, of the 33,000 customers that SolarWinds has, 18,000 of them updated to the malicious Orion. And that seemingly includes the United States government. Just about every single U.S. government office that has IT staff, yep, they're included. Cisco, Intel, Microsoft, and a bunch of hospitals, just to name a few instances. More infections are noted in every continent, but, and I never said this word out loud, so I'm just going to assume it's Oceania and Antarctica.
Oh, you missed an I, but that's okay. Oceania.
Oh, yeah, okay, there you go. So, yeah. But, you know, I don't necessarily hold out too much hope for Australia down there. It's just not public yet. So we might be okay with our Antarctica, but the US is up there as well. So there's got to be networks and man. So this may be a hack that spans every continent in the world. So yeah, I'm not holding out much hope for people that got spared the wrath of this. So we don't know much about the other companies that aren't in the limelight because it's a very damaging issue. And the information that we do know about, say from Microsoft, it's very hush-hush. It's, yes, we have noticed that we are impacted by the SolarWinds hack. No, we will not tell you anything about it. So we only know names at best, but not much about what happened. It really does kind of seem like this was just something that was going to happen eventually because, as Bloomberg notes, SolarWinds hasn't been the best bastion of security practice in the world. They've been caught using the password SolarWinds123. Whoops. And asking customers to fully disable antivirus on machines that they install Orion on. Well, I mean, I guess for network monitoring stuff, I mean, it's good to have your little hooks in there, but wow. Anyway, a little gem of news. SUSE was not affected. I don't know that Ubuntu and Red Hat use any SolarWinds stuff, though it does work on Linux stuff. So I don't know, but in the coming months, we are going to hear more and more companies that come out and admit they were part of the SolarWinds hack. And the downside of this, right? Like the biggest thing that was that is of note is that they've been in since March. If there was anything, any kind of security practice that you were doing badly, you likely got scooped up in this. So, yeah, no pointing fingers, but it's getting obvious. Anyway, so I said that everything was going to be fact up until this point. Well, this is the point, and it's conspiracy time. So the CEO of SolarWinds, Kevin Thompson, signaled right around the time of the initial hack that he would be moving to another position at the end of the year, either with a SolarWinds partner or some subsidiary of SolarWinds. And it happened. And his successor was appointed the day before FireEye announced the hack. Conspicuous timing on both fronts. Well, anyway, I won't go any further on that one because I mean it's all speculation at this point. But I mean you can connect the dots there. What do you guys think?
Next episode, we get Kevin Mitnick on the show to talk about the curiosity.
That would be awesome.
You know how timely was this?
Has he moved companies, or is he just repositioning within SolarWinds?
So it seems like when he originally signaled it was going to be a subsidiary of SolarWinds, but I didn't get the position that he is in now, so I'm not positive. But it's just convenient for him.
Yeah.
And in both fronts, right? Like he noted that he would be moving right around the time things started going downhill, and then he finalized the move right before things went downhill. How funny! How funny!
Well, things had already gone downhill. He moved before the announcement that things went downhill.
Well, right, yeah, when the public heard about it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I guess it helps him keep his next job and prevents him from being unhireable.
Honestly, I would hope that it loses him his next job because this all happened under his reign.
Well, they
Stay
hired
tuned
him
for the next episode of How Golden Is My Parachute.
Right. they hired
so
him, but if they fire him on short notice, well, it also depends on what state you're in. In Texas, they don't care.
That's the parachute Moss is talking about.
Yeah. So
Gotta have that parachute.
Yeah, there's a little bit of safety in being a new hire.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. There's a lot of clauses in if we find some crazy, egregious thing out about you before, within so long or something like that. Who knows? Anyway, that's
Look,
way above my pay grade.
Anything can be hacked eventually. Maybe they didn't
Of
have
course.
the best practices, but, it's less about them getting hacked. And for me, with most companies, it's less about whether or not they got hacked and more about how did they respond to it.
By covering it up for a few days?
Well, yeah, okay.
Not great, man.
Well, it's
Yeah,
not like
it's not a
NordVPN that
great
covered it up for
response.
2 years.
That's
Right.
true. That's true. That's true.
I'm not saying he did a good thing here. I'm just saying, anything is hackable, and it's about the response.
Yeah. I mean, those positions, CEO and especially CISO, are absolutely unenviable positions to be in, because as far as security goes, it's always the CISO's fault, no matter who made the mistake, because the
Right.
CISO should have been overseeing all of that, and it's not a blameless job, and it's certainly a thankless job. So yeah,
Right. Anything goes wrong, it's your fault. It doesn't
Exactly.
matter.
Anyway, egregious. It's horrible. If you're running SolarWinds in your IT department and you hadn't heard about this, well, you probably want to look into whether or not you have been using Orion. Scary stuff. Anyway, that'll do it for our security update. So, let's move on down to the Linux interview. All right. Now we get to enumerate every single thing we got right, and I think we're, 30 for 30 this year, I think. We got every single one of our predictions correct. Yes!
Not quite.
Ah,
no,
no,
didn't
not really.
happen.
No, no,
Okay,
not quite.
fine. Well, Joe, let's start out with you then. And so what all did you get right?
I did pretty well. My first prediction was we will see many more operating systems that are optimized and working for the Raspberry Pi 4. And this was kind of a give me. So yeah, there are a lot more operating systems that are working for the Raspberry Pi 4. Now,
No
mention yet.
Ubuntu desktop. I don't think we'll ever see Mint on a Pi, or at least there won't be a push by Clem to do it. Just simply because they've got their target and they're hitting it.
Yeah. Well, you might see Cinnamon Ubuntu.
Exactly. Yeah. I very much expect to see something like that in 2021. I could even make that a prediction.
I don't know. I think Cinnamon Ubuntu is pretty much a one-man operation right now, so I don't know that they'd go for the Pi.
Maybe. We'll see.
Yeah, but
he might get some help eventually.
Yeah, Elementary OS has their experimental Pi build. So yeah, I mean, this is, you're absolutely 100% right. There's no weaseling out of that or taking away any kind of partial point. That's just full on right.
Yep.
Well, there definitely is an Ubuntu Unity edition. After all, Rudra started out with a Pi operating system. He's sure going to go back to it.
Well, okay, and then my next one wasn't necessarily a gimme, but it pretty close. Probably also see a new slim version of the Raspberry Pi 4 sometime this year, and the compute module did come out. Granted, a bigger version also came out with the 400, but yeah, that one was correct. And then Microsoft will push more towards applications that can run on either operating system. We will still be blind to their evil plans. Well, more applications have come out, but still blind to their evil plans? Also yes. So, I don't know.
But no Office yet.
No Office yet, but...
Hold on. So just real quick to go back to the other one, the slim version sometime this year. You're talking about the Pi 4, right?
Mm, yeah.
And what do you mean slim version though?
The compute module.
Oh,
you can't get
I
much
got
slimmer than that.
I got you. Yep. Never mind. Anyway, so yeah, on the Microsoft thing, we have a community prediction, and that is right up your alley on this one. This is pretty much it. But Edge, Teams, what else? What else came out? That was about it for this year. We had VS Code in the previous year. But yeah, they're going to take over the world all over again.
No, they're going to try.
they got
I think
billions
Teams
and
was out
billions
by
of
the end
dollars
of
to
last
do it
year.
with.
I think Teams came out before the end of last year.
Well,
okay.
You're always going to have, especially when they're releasing on Linux, you're always going to have the option to either go the easy path and pay for it, or maybe do a little bit more and have a free version that doesn't quite do everything the paid version does.
I can't
And for
get
that
Teams
matter-
to work on Linux.
Edge is still a developer's edition too, so it's not a full edition yet. Maybe it's taking them more effort than they thought it would.
No, I think they're just taking it slow. I don't know Microsoft to hurry things out the door, but the dev version has been extremely stable. I use it from time to time, and I've never had a single issue with it. It's to be quite honest with you, it actually runs a bit better than Chrome does on Linux. So I mean, trade your data from one company to the other, but if you're on a Blink browser, it's not a bad one.
I would agree, Leo. It's pretty stable.
Yeah.
I did install Edge browser on.
Well, you might as well use it. They already have all your data then.
Probably. But no, I had installed it because I've been having problems in Linux on Chrome and Firefox with CAPTCHAs.
Oh.
The I'm not a robot thing
Mm-hmm.
It's not popping up, so I can't verify that I'm not a robot.
Are you not a robot?
I'm not sure at this point. I can't verify.
Exactly. Even Firefox thinks you're a robot.
Yeah. So it is installed on one of my machines. I don't think I've actually loaded it up though.
I downloaded it once, but I could not bring myself to install it.
Okay, so mostly right on that one.
Yeah, we'll give it a
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Maybe
Okay.
a half point.
Whatever.
You got some gimmies this year.
Yeah. And then here's the one that I got completely wrong, and I think it's because it is taking so long for Edge OS or for Edge browser to come out. I said the announcement for Edge OS will be towards the end of the year, and nope. My guess is
Still
is
got
that
4 days.
Yeah, my guess is that there will eventually be an Edge OS, much like Chromium OS. Except it's not going to happen until the Edge browser is a bit bit less beta on Linux.
I'm gonna disagree with you here. I don't think it'll ever happen because they're gonna focus on Microsoft Windows ARM edition, and I know they've done it before. I'm just saying they're making a push for it again. I guarantee it. ARM is getting way too big for them not to move on this.
Just because Microsoft doesn't make the Edge OS doesn't mean that there won't be an Edge OS based on Edge browser. The same.
True.
The same way as with Chromium OS and Chrome OS. So I still see that it could happen in the future. Just I don't know when.
Yeah, maybe so.
Leo, what were your predictions?
Well, I got all of them right.
A big basket of nope there.
Yeah. So I had guessed that Microsoft Office will have a native Linux version, Adobe Photoshop, and AutoCAD. Yeah, none of that happened. So Moss will record a Gentoo show. Almost had him, but it didn't happen. So yeah, that's 4.
Not even close, Leo.
Yeah, 4 gone, man. No, you did do that one that was Gentoo-ish. What was that one?
I have not done a show on Gentoo-ish anything.
Nothing from the Gentoo tree?
Nope.
We reviewed Sabayon before you made the production.
Oh, okay, maybe that's where that came from then. Okay, anyway. Yeah, it didn't pan out either. Okay, fine. Okay, but I really feel like, and I know there's talk down here, but I think I got this one right. Firefox versus the world. Firefox will be the last popular non-Chromium holdout. And all right, we got to define popular. Let's go over to the Stats Counter website that shows the most popular web browsers, and at the top it has Chrome, Safari, Firefox, Samsung, Internet, Edge, and Opera. Ain't none of those. Number one, Safari doesn't even work on Linux, so it doesn't even apply to this. Firefox is the only one on that list that does not use Blink.
What percentage does Firefox have?
3.
That's
3.79.
not popular.
So you're basically saying that Chrome and Safari are the only browsers that exist, that are popular, that exist?
No, I'm basically saying that Firefox, GNOME Web, and Safari are the only ones that are still Blink free, but none of them are popular, so you lose the point.
I don't know about that, because think about every single person that installs Linux. What browser do they get?
Firefox.
Web.
Yeah. Oh, get out of here, Moss.
That's what came on Bodhi.
These are Linux questions, and I feel like Firefox is popular within the Linux community, and therefore I should get a point.
Bodhi came with Web. In fact, the older version of Bodhi 5.0 came with the old version of Midori.
Well, if we're talking about percentage and popularity, I'm gonna guess Bodhi's not up there. Bodhi's probably the Firefox of users.
I think Elementary comes with GNOME Web.
Oh, you're right, actually.
You're
Sorry, Leo.
Man. So, show of hands, how many people in this room use Elementary? Got
I
it.
do.
Oh, do you really?
Yep, for the kids.
Oh man. Okay. All right. So, but I still feel
Shot
like
yourself in the foot with that one.
no. I still feel like I should get a point here. Everybody gets a Firefox.
I think you've got a point there.
I think you got a
Yay!
point.
Half a point.
Okay. I get 1 point. Yay! Because that was all
Third
of
of
my
a point,
predictions.
maybe.
All right, I'll take the other ones on the chin, but I'll scrape me together 1 full point for this one. Tony Hughes, what did you guess?
Well, my first prediction, I said Linux driver support will continue to improve and more hardware manufacturers, I said NVIDIA, I'm looking at you, will develop open source Linux drivers. I think that's a no.
Yeah, unfortunately. NVIDIA hadn't budged on that front.
Yeah. So then I talked about Raspberry Pi again, and I said there'll be a new Raspberry Pi revision, if not totally new model. And I think I said with them possibly adding M2 support. And I was talking about other, the fact that you get M2 support with other single board computer manufacturers. But I did say it'd probably require a totally new board design and may still be a year or two away. Well, they did release the new Raspberry Pi 4 compute module. And some of the add-on boards that you've got to plug it into have a PCI Express slot, which you can plug an M2 SATA board into. So
Whoa.
I think that's a kill on that one. And of course, the Pi 400 was also released, and that's a totally new model. Clocked at 1800, as we've already heard. So I think that's a yes on that one as well. So I think I nailed
the firmware update. The firmware update for you to add a USB drive into is still in beta. It hasn't gone past beta yet, but it seems to be working for the people who tried it.
Mm-hmm. But with the compute module, you can get one of the boards that's available that you can plug the compute module in has got a PCI Express slot, or albeit it's only a 1, not a massive 16
Single
or
channel.
anything like that. But it can still you can still plug a M2 SATA board into it.
Yeah, that honestly, even in beta, I would still count it for the other stuff. Honestly, that was just spot on.
So, I think I've definitely got at least 1 point there, if not 2.
Honestly, I would go with 2 because there's really two predictions baked into that. The new Raspberry Pi revision, which you got twice, and the M2 support. Yeah.
Okay, Moss, what did you say?
A big bucket of nope.
Wait, that bucket, the KFC bucket?
No, I think I'd go to Bojangles for that bucket. Okay. Now that my first prediction was now that Canonical has agreements with Microsoft for WSL and Amazon for Ubuntu Pro and AWS, I predict they will begin or continue, if they have already begun in secret, working on agreements with other megacorps such as Alphabet, Oracle, SAP, and Apache. If they did, no one has mentioned it anywhere. It's all secret. If I have a tinfoil hat on, I might give myself a quarter point for that. But let's not. My second was if they succeed with any one of these new alliances, they will be insulated from potential buyouts and takeovers. I therefore predict this is the year they go IPO. And as I said in the show notes, if not A, then not B. But SUSE is rumored to be headed for an IPO in 2021. 0 points for Moss. Move on. Nothing to see here.
Are we going to move that SUSE IPO to your new predictions?
I don't think so, but
Okay.
It's a little too widely rumored to not be true, so it's not a good prediction.
Okay. All right. That's an easy point. I don't know.
I don't take easy points.
All right, fine. You
I
get
go
no
for
points.
the 4-pointers, half-court shots only.
There you go. All right. No points for you then. We'll talk about how many no points Tony Watts got because he's not here today to take these on the chin. So
Chickened out. KFC chickened out.
He
You want me to
said,
cover it?
Go ahead. Yeah.
All right. Tony Watts. Maru OS will significantly expand supported devices. We'll add support for a OnePlus device, very likely the 3T. We'll also add support for Galaxy Note devices, Note 9 and or Note 10. Now, I have not kept up with Maru OS this year, but I also haven't heard anything about them adding any type of support for anything this year. Has anybody?
I haven't heard a thing. No.
No.
Maybe we need to go research that before giving him a note.
Yeah. So let's put that one on hold. We'll come right back to it. I'm gonna see if I can't find the support list for Maru.
Okay. Now, we will see convergence on Pine 64 devices with Pine Phone able to dock to peripherals and run full desktop applications. That's a point. That's a point right there.
That's a whole point right there. Yep.
Yeah. That's good to go. And then for his last one, a big box store will sell a PC pre-configured with Linux in 2020. Now,
And all the big box stores are closed, so they wouldn't do it even if.
Right. I'd have to say that the half point on this one, since there really wasn't an opportunity for big box stores to sell PCs this year.
I don't know. Tony didn't add any detail like I did. On that one.
Now, a lot of your major manufacturers are selling PCs pre-configured with Linux,
But only on their website. I think it's
on their
zero.
website.
By big box, he means something like a Best Buy or a Sam's Club or like a Costco or something, right? Where you can walk in and buy one. Yeah. So I don't think that's true.
All right,
That's a
then
zero.
that's another zero.
And Marrow is definitely a zero. I've just checked on their website.
Yeah, they support the S9, but none of the notes.
Yeah, Maru was the big hope for convergence before everybody else started doing convergence, but I really haven't heard anything from them in a while.
Yeah. Well, Tony, you get a point. Yay! You're tied with me. Maybe we can like double up our points so that we can win the whole game. All right. We got Oliver Kelly had some predictions last time as well. He's got end of Windows support won't increase the Linux desktop uptake. Now, it's hard to tell. We didn't see a massive spike after Windows 7, but we are continuing to see a trickle. Like looking at something like the Steam survey, we are seeing a slight uptick in two things: AMD hardware and Linux usage.
Yeah,
not significant.
That's more a COVID uptick though than a end of Windows 7 uptick.
Yeah, we can't prove that it was the end of Windows 7 support, and therefore he gets his point because he said it would not increase the Linux desktop.
Kind of specific, but okay. Well, Intel's new graphics card won't suck on Linux. I don't think we know. We won't know because we don't have Intel's new graphics card just yet.
Yeah, it's
So
not arrived yet.
if we
has
don't
it?
have it yet, that means that it sucks on Linux.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It sucks on Windows too. So here's the deal. It looks like we are getting the initial commits. I want to say maybe as early as 5.10, which just released, but certainly in 5.11. So he may be right, but the timeline is off.
He's not right this year.
Yep, exactly. So maybe if we roll this one over to next year, it might be true.
Oliver will have to come on the show to roll it over to next year.
Exactly. Well, he did submit us some new predictions, and I don't think that was in it. So yeah, we won't roll it over unless he tells us to. All right. Well, that'll do it for Oliver's. A reluctant 1 point from me. So, what about you, Eric?
So Peerism will go out of business the Librem 5 phone endeavor will put it under. And although Purism is not out of business this year, but they have sure been a lot quieter in the news than in 2020 than they were in 2019.
Was it Purism that launched the Aw Sim thing, where you like overpay for a mobile service, but you're mostly anonymous? I want to say that was Purism, but
I'm not sure.
Certainly didn't put them under.
No, they're still around, but they are a lot quieter.
Still a nope.
Yeah, I'd say that's a no.
There
The
we go.
second,
I did just look it up. Librem Awesome, $99 a month gets you a new phone number, unlimited talks, tech, data, and cancel at any time. And the whole thing is that you're paying Purism to be the customer and not you, so that you can disassociate with all of the advertisement and all that other stuff. So they're alive. They are certainly alive.
So the next prediction is that the Pine phone will be an amazing product and a success story for Pine 64. And tell you what, after getting my Pine phone, I would say that's probably a healthy 3/4 of a point.
You know, honestly,
Well, no,
I
that's
think
a full point.
I think you bought the Pine phone just so you could be right here, huh?
Well, maybe.
Well, all the reviews I've heard about it have been positive.
Yeah, it's not making them millions of dollars, but it's definitely, I would say, a success.
Yeah, I don't feel like anybody would make $1 million off of a $200 phone that probably costs like $175 to put together. So I think they're doing pretty good for what they got, man.
Yeah.
On the other point that I made about this, when you guys asked for more details, is I put that the Pine phone product development will set a gold standard of how to correctly launch a new product. And from what you hear, you know, on the other podcasts and even what you read, is, you know, each new iteration from Pine is marketed well. It's, you know, released well. When you go to buy like a Pinebook Pro, they're out of production already because they've sold out. They have done a good job with their products.
Yeah. Well, you know, to be honest with you, those are two separate predictions, so I'm inclined to give you two separate points. Anybody agree?
Yeah, I don't mind that.
Okay. Put you down for two.
So my next prediction is a major industry-specific software company, Adobe Autodesk, for AutoCAD or similar, will offer a Linux version for a flagship software product. Yeah, this one's no. Big no.
Yeah, we went in doubles on this one, and
Yes,
we
we did.
both got 0.
On this next one's a 0 too. Microsoft will offer Office 365 on Linux and running natively, no wine, no web apps. And yep, this is a 0.
Although you can use Microsoft products on the web, but not download them.
In
He
Edge,
specifically
no less.
said no web apps.
Yep,
Yeah.
I said no web apps.
Yeah.
So
Yep. Well, either way, I swear it's inching closer. You'll see how sure I am about that here in a little bit.
And then the last one is Linux pre-installed from a major hardware supplier will be available in big box stores available off the shelf, a large hardware vendor like Dell, HP, Lenovo, etc. And since I'm on the show, I claim a handicap for 2020 because big box stores haven't been open.
That is true. That is true.
But HP and Lenovo both have made, you know, large strides on this with Fedora on Lenovo and Ubuntu on both Lenovo and HP. And then Moss reminded me that Dell really increased their offering with Linux machines this year.
Well, we didn't, count it for Tony, so.
Yeah, I think it's still a 0, but it's a nice try.
Yeah, it's not
We
been
all
in the
want to
big
see it
box
happen.
stores. It's definitely been on the web.
Honestly, even if the laptop wasn't a big box store with Linux on it, I still wouldn't buy it from the big box store.
Because it's probably
that's a good
cheaper not
point.
to.
Well,
Exactly.
the experience 10 years ago or 11 years ago when netbooks were around was that none of the guys in the stores knew what they were selling.
Well, that's definitely still the case.
Yeah.
So those are my predictions.
So what was your score?
Let's see here.
It was
Two.
at least a solid
Two.
two.
At least two.
Two.
Yay, I win.
Yay! I'll beat you this next year.
We'll give you
my
your no
predictions-
prize in the
I'm
mail.
not expecting any of my predictions to actually come true. Well, they might.
I think we might have some crossover in the Red Hat area, but yeah. So it looks like it's time to make some new predictions. I'm up first for some reason, but okay, here we go. I'll try and be quick and as specific as I can.
You always talk first, Leo.
It's true. It's true. All right, here's my first prediction, and we're going to know within a week whether or not I was right or wrong. Linux Mint 20.1 will release before you hear this podcast. So that
What?
means...
He's going to delay the release until it comes out.
Actually, I'm gonna. That's exactly how it's going to work. So yeah.
How much did you pay Clem for this?
Tuesday night, Wednesday morning-ish here in the U.S. is going to be right about the deadline that I'm talking about. So yeah, if you guys are not waking up to Linux Mint 20.1 on Wednesday, let's just say Wednesday afternoon, then I am wrong.
Keep pushing it. How about Thursday? Do I hear Thursday?
Listen, if we push it out till Friday, I'm going to be
No.
I'll say Wednesday. If it ain't
No,
out on
we're-
Wednesday,
Wednesday morning, maybe.
yeah, because the podcast. Well, see, now I'm thinking time zone. What if I say this and then someone from a forward-thinking time zone hears this and it's all weird and stuff? So let's say Wednesday afternoon U.S. So let's call it what 2 p. Actually, you know what? Showtime on Tuesday, 2 p.m. Wednesday, 2 p.m. on Wednesday U.S. Central Time. If it ain't out by then, I am wrong.
So
But
Leo,
your statement
here's
is before you hear the podcast.
Well, yeah, but
So
I mean,
he-
they won't be to that point until about 2 p.m. because the show is always like 8 hours long.
So
So
who is
just
the
add it to
you
the show
that
notes
you're
when
aiming
we
at?
find out whether or not I got the point. So that way we don't forget next year.
So here's a technicality for you, Leo. What
Okay.
if this happens in 2020 and not in 2021?
But
Ooh.
just a minute, we're talking about this in the innards. So
Oh,
the
sure enough.
innards show won't go out until 2021 anyway.
Okay. So then I will say the first half of the show.
Now hold on. No, because there's another point here that was just made a second ago that this is going to be happening in 2020, not 2021.
Yeah. What if Mint 20.1 is released in 2020?
Yeah, this is not a 2021 prediction, Leo.
Oh, all right.
This is
I'll
already-
strike the
this is
whole
like a
thing. You
pre-failure
ruined
right
my
here.
fun. It's fine. I'll get it out of there. All right. So next up, then Apple's M1 Air and Pro will work moderately well on Linux. Any takers?
Never.
Well, there is a guy that has raised money to do just that.
Yeah. So I'm putting.
I think it'll function, but not moderately well.
Okay. I'm going to go with moderately well. Well, and I define that by being you can use it day to day. You can do your browsing, no gaming. I will not put my name on gaming. But yeah, seriously. We're going to see Apple's M1 working on Linux in a usable fashion in 2021. So next I've got Red Hat sees ongoing major loss of trust from the CentOS issue. So they dropped support for the CentOS Linux, we'll just call it Classic, and have now put all their eggs in the CentOS Stream basket. And that rubbed a lot of folks the wrong way because everybody was expecting 10 years of support, and you got 2. So yeah, not quite the same.
And again, that's ongoing in 2021, but it started already. And how are you going to measure that?
We're just
we'll
the way
let
I'm gonna,
Moss be the judge.
yeah, I'll definitely get it wrong then. So
Bleh.
Rocky Linux is just going to see more and more usage, and that's
Well, of
going to be how we
course.
measure it.
Of course, Rocky Linux is going to see more and more usage.
Right.
Because
well,
it has zero usage now.
Well, you say it's not. You say it's going to see more usage, but that's not necessarily true. People that are using CentOS 8 that got or CentOS 8 that got burned may never come back to a CentOS anything.
How many people are using Rocky Linux right now?
None, because it's like in crazy nothingness.
Do you see what we're saying? So once Rocky Linux is released, how many users will it have? More than none, right?
More than one. Yes.
So you see the issue here?
All right, strike it.
This is not a prediction. This is not a prediction. This is saying what has already happened and will it continue? And of course it'll continue.
I don't know. But okay. Anyway, so Microsoft Office will have a native Linux version release. So I rolled it over, man. I rolled it over.
Leo, I'm with you on this one because I'm
It's
rolling
gonna
this
happen.
one over too.
Okay.
It's
Now,
gonna happen.
I could see why you might think that, or why you might want that, but think about
I
it
don't want
from
it. Personally, I do not.
Microsoft's point of view. There's no point in releasing a Linux native version of Microsoft Office, which would require quite a bit of development, when they can just suggest you use the web app.
But it's not. They're not.
Or develop an Electron app.
And the web app or the Electron app would work. Well, the web app would work on any operating system.
But it's not one-to-one. It's not the same thing.
It's not feature complete, and I can attest to that, particularly with macros.
I will say that is a valid prediction. Let's let it stand. We'll shoot him down at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm okay.
I know I'm going to be wrong. I just want it to happen just because. And I'm not going to benefit from it. I do not use any Office anything. I just feel like Microsoft's doing their Heart Linux real hard lately, and this is probably going to be one of the things that we get. All right. So everybody focuses on the browser and not the CEO in 2021, and Firefox sees an upswing in users. So I'm predicting 5%. 5% usage of Firefox on these browser market share websites. Is that a good enough prediction?
That's a proper prediction.
Okay, good.
How about going out on a limb and saying 8 cents?
How about not? I'm going to go with 5%, and we're going to see where it goes from there.
It's wishful thinking again, though.
I know it is. Oh yeah, this is more of a wish list than a predictions list. But hey, man, I might be right.
So are you saying it's going to go from 3% to 5%, or are you saying
Correct.
it's going to go to 8%?
No, there will be an upswing. So
no, the 8% was mine, Joe.
Yeah,
Okay.
We're going to see a total of 5% usage, and it will continue to swing upward.
I can't swing that much further downward.
It could. No, it definitely could, and we'll just be left with Blink. All right. Well, that's it for what is left of my predictions. Joe.
Okay. Well, Red Hat will somehow disappoint us more over the next year and become even more corporate. That's my first prediction.
IBM will become more corporate.
Yeah,
well, Red Hat specifically as a subsidiary of. Yeah.
Well, I mean, Red Hat is extremely corporate. What do you mean?
Yeah,
they've always been corporate. They've always had that vibe. Okay, so what do you mean then?
They'll become they've always been more business oriented, but they've also been very good to the upstream, to the users, to open source in general. I'm saying you're going to see less of that.
But they just went all in on CentOS Stream and bringing in the community and allowing them to change the way that Red Hat will be.
Well, then maybe I'll be wrong.
Ooh,
we'll see.
Okay. All right. We'll see how it goes.
I told you I wasn't expecting much out of these. Now, this one we're going to see, and I'm pretty sure it's a good one. Game streaming services will have a very good year and become much more common. Steam will release a version that allows for online play of games with no local install.
Ooh.
So that
all right.
Well, the second half of that is a bit rough as far as a prediction goes.
Well,
but,
hold on. can we rephrase this as Steam will release a competitor to Stadia?
Okay.
Cool. Okay. So yeah, rewrite that bit, but that's 2 predictions. So make that 2 separate bits. We got game streaming services will have a good year. So what does a good year look like?
An extreme uptake in the amount of people using it.
See, now y'all are going to do this to me, and then you're not going to do it to Joe. So how many people are using Stadia-like services right now, and how many
See, there's
are
a
there
difference.
going
More
to
than
be?
zero.
There's a difference.
Right.
Yes, that's it right there.
But we
More
can't
than
measure
zero.
it, can we?
You can only go up from 0. Well, yeah, you can kind of measure it, and we'll know at the end of the year whether I was right or not. If they've had a good year, you'll know it. If Google Stadia is still around, then I'll assume that they had a good year, considering how Google axes everything.
I don't know about that. They let stuff linger on for years before they axe it, and then there's always a small, tiny minority of people that are still using it that make a big, huge outcry about it.
There will be a lot of news about it if it does well. And
okay.
if other streaming services start popping up, then you know that Stadia is doing fairly well.
All right, if everybody else agrees to it, okay.
And this means that it will be both a good year and a bad year for Linux because of those online services. There will be many more computers using the Linux kernel, but not actually Linux. Similar to like the Chromebook, but it's going to be these online services where a lot of your Linux usage is measured by people that are gaming. And they're going to be gaming using streaming services, so that's going to greatly increase the number of supposed Linux PCs.
All right.
And that's all I got. Tony?
Yes. Well, I'm sticking with Pi. Because it's been really good to me so far.
Can't go wrong with Pi.
I'm going to suggest that we may get the Pi 5 this year, or in this coming year, or at least the Pi 4 Plus. I'm also going to predict that the Pi 400 will get a revision with 8 gig of RAM, and possibly a further overclock of the CPU. So running at least 2 gig, possibly the full 2.1 gigahertz, so that anyone who's not comfortable with overclocking themselves will get an overclocked CPU out of the box. So I don't. Moss has put in Pi 400 with upgradable RAM. Not going to happen.
No, definitely not going to happen.
No.
They're already pushing themselves out of their own price range. So
yeah. So I don't think we're ever going to get single board computers with upgradable RAM. The whole kind of market for those boards is around it all being on the board.
I mean, it's like a phone, though, right? I mean, you can't really take anything off the phone except for maybe memory card, something like that.
You haven't seen a Fairphone, Leo?
Well, yeah, but I mean, how popular are those?
Okay, how many people have actually seen a Fairphone in person?
Yeah, that's my point. Yeah.
They don't sell in the U.S. is why that.
I would argue that they really don't sell.
Tony, how many have you seen?
I haven't seen one.
He's our only point of reference.
So only one prediction, Tony? Only one prediction? You're not going out on a limb here.
It's got a couple of things in there, but yeah, I'm only going to go for one. I'm going to stick to me guns on Pi.
Stick to your Pi guns.
Yeah.
Let Pi guns be Pi guns, I say.
Yeah, and not mince pies either.
Oh, well. Okay, I've gone out somewhere on the limb here. Distro Hopper's Digest will exceed 18,000 total downloads. This would require our average downloads per episode to exceed 600 and at least 10 episodes in the year. No comments?
We will
entirely
see.
I wrote 15,000 in the show notes and I upped it.
You realize I could sabotage that one.
Moss, I'm glad to see you're optimistic.
I had to be. I was too depressed when I started writing these show notes. I deleted all my original ones and had to upgrade my attitude here. I predict at least 6 long-standing distros will close or merge and be replaced by at least 8 new distros, with at least 4 of them being forks of what's just closed.
Wow, that is very extremely specific.
Yep.
Okay, 6 long-standing distros. I guess you're going to have to define what long-standing means.
How long is Slackware going to go away? That's a long-standing distro.
Slackware ain't never going away.
Anything that, let's say, 3 years or longer history.
Okay. And be replaced by at least 8 distros. That's cool. And at least 4 of them forks. So of the
just
6
like
that...
with CentOS going away, it's replaced by CentOS Stream. No, wait a minute, Rocky.
Yeah, I was going to say, it ain't the same. All right, cool. So yeah, 6 of them go down. 4
There's
of
already
them are
another
replacements.
CentOS fork besides Rocky.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
I mean, okay, anyway, go ahead. Yeah.
The main problem is getting those that high number of distros to actually close or merge in 1 year. I think that's going to be where this falls down. Anyhow, these others are much more non-Linux, which is I and or my wife will have a job which pays enough for our needs. We will survive 2021 much better than we did 2020.
Good luck.
Yeah, we need work
Yep.
to make that happen. We both have a job. It's not paying any money right now. Will we be able to make it turn money? I don't know. My last one is that COVID will be a minor irritation by the end of the year, 2021. Not a world-spanning pandemic, and contact tracking apps will be a thing of the past.
We all hope that one's true.
Uh-huh.
Well, that's it for me. Leo, why don't you tell us what Josh Hawk had?
All right, since he's not here, I'll just read him for him. So he's got Linux phones will double in number and power in 2021. Are they underpowered right now?
Well, they're usually running 3 to 5 year old hardware. So yeah, they're a little unpowered.
So can we really expect a doubling of power?
No, I wouldn't expect a doubling of power. And I don't know if we can measure the number of people that are using the phones as well. But I think he meant it to be a bit
number of models, Joe.
Right.
That's
yeah,
what
yeah.
I'm thinking.
That's
Oh,
true.
okay,
Products.
okay, yeah, okay, I can see that. But while we can't measure that exactly, I mean, if they increase in power and we get double the number of models of phones, I'd be willing to accept it.
So some of the like the Pine phone is more mid-spec. There's not really many feature phones or equivalent feature phones. The one I can think of off the top of my head is the Pro X1.
The Librem 5.
How many actual like Linux phones are there right now?
That's a good question.
Yeah, so it's going to be incumbent on Josh to figure out a
Does
general
Lineage
idea of how
OS
many we
count
got.
as Linux?
And then we're going to have to get him to figure out how many are present in 2021.
Lineage is a fork of
Android open source.
Yeah, Android. So
Yeah, it's
And
not- that's
E is
not
a fork
Linux.
of Lineage.
Yeah, I don't think Lineage doesn't count, right?
No.
Okay.
Because that's
So
just
the
Android.
question is, do custom ROMs count as Linux? And the answer apparently is no.
No, because we're talking like we want Ubuntu Touch or Sailfish, right?
Something that actually sells
Platinum
with
Mobile.
those operating systems, not something that, gets ported to a different phone. Those aren't Linux phones. Those are made to
Okay.
run.
In other words, it needs to be a manufacturer that is producing a phone that runs on Linux.
Oh, I really don't like Josh's next prediction.
Well, most of it's already happened. So, all right. So we'll go with that. Honestly, I think we might even be able to back off enough to just say something to the effect of, if when you launched your phone, you mentioned the word Linux in it, like in the public release or whatever, I'd count that.
If one of the operating systems that they offer at sale time or that you can install at sale time from the manufacturer is Linux, I'd be willing to count that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that it leaves it open enough that I think you can still make that. All right, so the next one is all mainstream cable TV channels will switch to apps.
I really wish Josh was here so that I could ask him about this. Now, is that all major cable TV channels are going to also have apps? Because I can see that happening. But you're not going to get rid of regular basic cable TV for at least another 10 years.
Yeah.
Would be my guess. Just because
let's go with they will have apps. But I think that's already true, isn't it?
Yeah, that's already done. They all
So
have apps.
maybe he does mean they're just going to close up shop on the airwaves and
Yeah, that's
move
not gonna
strictly to IP. Okay, well,
it's not going to happen within the next 10 years, specifically because of the baby boomer generation and most of them not wanting to learn technology and them having had a lifetime of getting used to
losing the remote.
Yes, exactly. Losing the remote.
I still lose the remote, and I don't even watch TV that much.
Yeah, but Gen Z is tending to watch their TV on their Chromebook.
Which doesn't require a remote. All right, so he's got one more. I think we'll ask him about it the next time we talk to him. How exactly he meant that, because in one way I don't think he'll ever make it, and in the other way I think he's already made it, so we'll see. Anyway, so Firefox will be given to the community to maintain or be so underfunded they will lay off almost all working on it. Ooh,
that's the one I really hate.
Most everybody.
He took my prediction and just did the exact opposite of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
One of you is going to be right.
Yeah, you're not actually. You know what? Yeah, one of us is going to be right, and whoever gets that point, I hope it's me, because that means we can continue to use Firefox.
Yeah.
Well, no, if they open it up to the community to maintain, that's not bad either.
But
who's going to promote it? The community doesn't do that much. I mean, you can see how far community-sponsored Linux distros are doing.
Now, if Mozilla gives Firefox to the community, we're just going to have 8 different forks of it, and Firefox itself will just kind of be in the background.
True. Isn't Firefox the oldest continuous web browser?
If you count back from Netscape,
yeah,
Netscape
Navigator.
It's the same browser. It's still the same browser. So I mean, I would count that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, well, you know
I
what?
wouldn't, because it was totally recoded from scratch for Firefox.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the guy that was working on Firefox is working on Brave now, which is I've started following him. Anyway, that'll do it for Josh. Eric.
So Wayland has been around for a while, but the transition to Wayland will be much more prevalent or even go mainstream amongst distributions in 2021. It's not going to completely transition from X, but it's going to gain a lot more traction. Finally.
Okay, I'll take it. I'm excited.
After a decade
KDE,
of it not happening,
it's got to happen sometime.
Yeah. I don't know. KDE has already made a bunch of headway, and Fedora's already pushing it. I know it's in the back of the Ubuntu guys' minds. Honestly, if there's ever a year to guess Wayland, I think right now is it. Eric, I think you're going to be right on this.
I hope so. Microsoft Office 365 run natively on Linux. That's a repeat of 2020, and I'm going all in with Leo on this one.
Yeah, I think you and I are just going to keep guessing this one every year until it's true.
So. I think so. A Linux phone, maybe the Pine phone, will be available for the average consumer in 2021 and will be able to be a daily driver phone.
Well, it already is available to the average consumer in 2020.
Well, it's still considered tinker's a tinker phone.
And they still aren't really doing large productions of it.
Correct.
Yeah, true. Okay. And able to be a daily driver phone, that's not up to the phone. That's up to the operating system at this point.
Well, but there could be someone that comes out with a total package solution.
That would be cool.
Which would be awesome.
I am down for this one.
So, a mint-flavored prediction, Warpinator will expand to almost all distributions and become the go-to solution for easy computer-to-computer file transactions similar to the Apple AirDrop.
Ooh, I love this prediction. Ooh, and it's in Flatpak right now. So
It's already in Flatpak.
It's already starting to make its way around. I hope this is right. This would be so cool. It's such a good software.
It is. It's really a nice software to use. It's so easy. And my last one is that a new independent non-Chrome or non-Blink based web browser will enter the market. And then what this will do, and this has come up a couple times, it's going to either push Mozilla to retool and reinvigorate Firefox, or it's going to send the downward spin, speeding up even faster.
So he's got both y'all's predictions covered.
Yeah, really. But instead of
well, really,
just-
what I'm predicting is the new
one,
independent Chrome non-Blink based browser will show up.
and it'll probably just use the Firefox engine. So it's kind of the Mozilla. What is it?
Yeah, it could be a fork.
The community maintained kind of thing. Okay, so we're all intertwined on this Mozilla one. This is going to be interesting to see because some of us are going to get a point, and some of us are going to get some points, and some of us are going to be totally wrong. Okay, I'm excited to know. So 2021, come on, let's do this. All right. So we had some send-ins, and we'll go through these pretty quickly. But we had Owen Peary, our editor, sent in a few. So first, Raspberry Pi will continue to develop either the 4 or the 400 so that all the models can easily come with 8 gigs of RAM minimum and with processor speeds above 200 gigahertz with no overclocking necessary. So more distros will function on it, and it can be a replacement for low-end Chromebooks that are pretty crappy. So I think I see 2 predictions here. Number one, that the 4 and 400 will get continual development on their processor speeds with no overclocking necessary. Y'all agree?
Well, I've already said that.
Okay. All right. So then y'all double up on that, and then so the second bit will be so more distros will function on it, and it can be a replacement for low-end Chromebooks, so that it'll just be a replacement for Chromebooks. That good?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's a good one. I think. Ooh. So we're gonna get faster Pi 4s. I could deal with that. All right. Oh no, he's calling us out. Linux podcasts will continue to fumble advertising and promotion and alienate their listeners as they pile on more and more promotional spots. Oh wait, no, he's not talking about us.
No,
Spots for
he's praising us for what we do.
Spots for legitimate companies who might even be our friends and support our interest, but the sheer number of spots we hear each week as we listen to our favorite podcast turns the signal into noise, and noise that we will ignore. Let's not adopt the advertising models that many of us are trying to get away from. We can do better.
Yay!
Okay. I feel like
of course, Destination Linux will let you become a Patreon, and then you can get an advertising-free feed.
Yeah, Late Night Linux do the same thing.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. But for just $5 a month, you can go to DigitalOcean and get. But this is straight from feedback last show, where the gentleman said that he would not be listening to those shows anymore because of that. So, ooh, buddy, I hope there's less advertising in the future and not more.
Yeah, but
if some of those shows lose listeners, we can pick them up.
That's true.
Yeah, but let's be fair to these shows. They've got expenses to, do some of them, and
Yep.
And some of them are professional podcasters, so they got to make money somehow.
Yeah,
true.
Got to feed the kids.
Our model suits us. The advertising model suits other people.
Yep, absolutely. Yep. But if it's your job, that's one easy way to make money. So I can definitely see it. This is probably going to be true. All right, next is Linux audio will get better as Pipewire rolls out in more places. Even if it's not widely adopted at the beginning, it will show a simpler path forward is possible. Okay, so I read this as Pipewire's coming out. It's going to be good, and it's going to make my and Owen's and Tony's job way easier. I really hope that's true. And I guess everybody's job, right? Because that just means an easier way to interface with Audacity and less to tinker with. And like my pulse fix doesn't need to happen anymore. So,
Ooh, this
cool.
next one gets political.
But it's true. Okay. I think he's going to be right on this one. Linux influencers will continue to wring their hands about the perpetual issue of lack of diversity in the ecosystem. I mean, how many times have we heard, right? We need more X in here. Yeah. While at the same time failing to take public stands against white supremacy and toxic masculinity in our very community. It's not enough just to invite people from underrepresented groups to our spaces. We have to make sure our spaces are not hostile to the very people some of us are trying to include. This is where a lot of growth in Linux use and adoption can happen. But will it? So
we do seem to have a lot of old white dudes on here.
Speak for yourself, Joe.
Oh man.
I'm almost old, and I'm a white dude.
So does that singles me out, man? I'm like the single bastion of diversity over here. Was I a diversity hire? Oh no.
We got to get Joe's daughter on the podcast.
I'm actually trying to convince her to get on the HPR New Year's show. So yeah.
Cool.
Oh, brilliant.
I'd love to hear it.
Maybe
Send us a
both
link
my daughters.
or a time.
I'd like to get them both on there.
So, yep, absolutely. Yeah, I had to be honest, I mean, looking back, I had to ignore a lot.
Well, we have on this show a lot of listeners from India and from South Africa and all these places, but couldn't possibly get on the show because of the time zones.
True, but I don't know. But there is a lot of this talk. There is a lot of this, oh, where are all the women in tech?
Hey,
and that kind of thing. And it's like, but dude, have you seen the people that are inviting these people in? Like, did you not hear what he said like just 30 seconds ago? That kind of thing is what he's talking about. And if you're talking about not just tech, just in Linux as well, I mean, you've got all kinds of stuff, just diverse people in all kinds of ways that get scared away.
If you go on the shows where it is very inclusive, I'm thinking about Big Daddy Linux Live. There are women who go on there. There are people from different ethnic backgrounds that go on there. It's just about getting the idea out there that we are inclusive and making sure that we stay inclusive and we moderate and kick out the people that are causing problems.
Right. There does seem to be a lack of women Linux podcasters. No. I can think of like 2.
I can think of like 3. But how about Hispanic podcasters? I can only think of 1.
Hey. Yeah, I don't know, but this is I think his point is that when you kick someone out, that is taking a public stand. You kick someone out, you talk about it, and you pin a message like this is not going to be tolerated, that kind of thing. That's what he's talking about. More of that, and we may be able to chip away at some of this problem, but without it, it's just going to continue to be the way that it is.
So we need a half black, half Latina team. To join us.
Maybe we just need more folks to feel welcome. That's the answer,
right?
We don't need
picking
anything.
somebody.
We just need to to moderate the views of people, and if they're going outside the community guidelines, get rid of them.
Yeah. Yep.
I will go on the record saying I am completely opposed to white supremacy, and I would not be that messed up, even though it includes to see white people wiped off the face of the map.
All right. On that note, we'll move on to the next one. Software for creative endeavors will continue to get better and better on Linux, so hobbyists can make our fun pet projects on software that works, that has tons of options to make it pretty, and that doesn't have an obtuse, soul-crushing workflow. I feel like he's been
way too obscure.
No, this is it's pointed towards something we focus on getting the pro-level users a good experience on Linux software, but I think the hobbyists are where we should focus. A pro-level user probably works for a company that already has a license locked in and has an entire workflow based on proprietary solutions and dozens, if not hundreds of employees, so that will be a hard nut to crack. So he's saying, it sounds like to me like folks like us that do, I wouldn't even call it semi-professional. I would just call it, hobbyist, I think he's looking at Audacity, man, because he's moving to Ardour. You think that might be it? Because Ardour is much more professional than Audacity is. It's got a lot of those features that don't show up. Anyway, I hope he's right on this, because that means Audacity, Ardour, and everything else, GIMP and Glimpse and Krita and those types of softwares are just going to get better and better and better. And I hope they do. OBS Studio, right? Yes. So I hope he's right. It'll be great. The next is the onboarding path for beginners will not get easier. Oof, I hope he's wrong. The time investment needed to get up to speed on some basic tasks will continue to be just enough to scare off the competent but casual users, let alone semi-incompetent users. We need to either change that or accept that Linux might not be a good option for beginners. If we want to make space for beginners in Linux, we must hold space without judgments for beginners and bring them in with intention, not left
See,
wide.
I don't think that's a prediction.
Yeah.
Oh, no?
No.
So I mean, just
Yeah,
that first
that's
couple
not a
things here.
prediction.
hold
That-
on, just
that's a view.
Well,
That's
hold
a
on,
view.
just
'Cause
that very first
I
sentence.
disagree with him.
Yeah.
The onboarding path for beginners will not get easier. That's his prediction.
Okay.
The rest of it is his view, his reasoning for that. But that
Yep.
first sentence is a
Okay.
prediction,
But it
right?
has gotten easier.
It
Tony and I
has,
are
but that's the whole thing.
definitely
It's going to get even
examples
easier
of
in
this.
2021 because if you're thinking about Linux like 10 years ago and how much fun that was to set up on a computer, let alone a laptop, it has gotten significantly easier in recent
Yeah.
years.
Well,
But
I'm-
if he's saying it's going to
How
get
many discs were in the
even
original
easier in
Slackware?
2021.
And the basic tasks thing is that's already covered. You know, most of the things that most people use a computer for, access the internet, a bit of word processing, and a couple of other, maybe some basic photo edit. All those are available and dead easy to use.
Right. 9 times in 10 anymore, your average user simply has to install and then they're up and running.
Yeah.
And it's no more difficult of an install on a laptop than Windows is anymore. So,
And the only difference is the majority of people just use the operating system that comes with the computer. The issue is getting Linux already installed on computers.
Right. Well, but that's where I think the argument that, well, Windows is just as hard fails because nobody's installing Windows.
No,
Nobody's
that's
doing
what I mean.
that. Right. So,
Right.
But to get Linux, you have to install it yourself. So that is part of something that you would need to do as a beginner, as a someone that knows absolutely nothing about Linux, but you just know that you want to move to it. It's part and parcel with Linux. Windows doesn't have to fight that. So
True.
I think the install is part of the onboarding path. And while I do think the Ubuntu installer is pretty easy to do, I mean,
Yeah,
is it going to
but
get easier? Is it going to make it easier for someone to come over that wants to?
you're not having to dig through forums anymore trying to find the specific module for your drivers for your Wi-Fi card.
I think anyone who's considering installing Linux on anything will go to YouTube, look at around on YouTube for an install video, and they will get all the information they need to be able to get Linux up and running within an hour.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, I'll let you guys decide what to do with that one. All right. So we'll move on to Josh Lowe. He's got
You
a
want me to
couple.
read this one so you don't
Go
have to
for
read
it.
them all?
Yeah.
Okay, Josh Lowe. Ubuntu support on Raspberry Pi will improve dramatically and become as popular or overtake Raspbian OS as the main Raspberry Pi OS. Now,
Ooh.
I'm gonna he's gonna get a half point on this one. Ubuntu support will improve dramatically, but the problem is much like with Windows, Raspbian is what people tend to start with. So,
and it's already not Raspbian. It's Raspberry Pi OS.
Yeah, Raspberry
true.
Pi OS. So Raspberry Pi OS is what comes on Noobs, right? So this is what most people are going to end up on, first-time users, things like that, and they're just not going to switch. So I don't see Ubuntu taking over overtaking Raspberry Pi OS.
Well, I can see it because Ubuntu Mate runs a lot better on my Pi 4 than anything Raspbian has put out.
You're willing to install the operating system yourself and test it out and switch back if you need to. But most people are going to end up sticking with Raspberry Pi OS because that's the first thing they're going to try and install without realizing that other things are available to install. But that's just my opinion. So
yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to measure in the first place, but I don't know. I mean, I kind of feel like he's going to be right. I need to let that stand.
That's okay. He's going to be wrong about
I don't
the
mind
next
letting
one.
it stand.
yeah, let the prediction stand. Absolutely.
We'll just see where we are in December of next year and see if everybody's talking about putting Ubuntu on their Pis.
Yeah. Now, the next one, we could see an official Raspberry Pi laptop or a RISC-V powered RPI. I would really like a correction or a clarification on this one. Is it going to be like a Raspberry Pi laptop or is it going to be like Pi Top?
He says official. That is coming from Raspberry Pi.
Yeah, it's going to be a white red laptop.
It's a separate company.
Yeah, I could see them releasing something like a Pi Top where you just snap in a Raspberry Pi. Or are they going to take the Raspberry Pi 400 and give it a screen?
I think that's probably more likely what would happen if they produce an official Raspberry Pi laptop. They'll probably use that.
I don't see that happening.
Yeah, the RISC-V, I definitely don't see that.
They're gonna compete with the Pinebook Pro. That's what that's gonna be what I think is gonna happen here.
Yeah, I like that prediction. I think it's a good one. I'm not sure about the RISC-V powered Pi. That's a whole change of architecture.
Well, just remember those are half points there.
Yeah.
He made one prediction, so it's half point.
Okay.
Oh, that's cruel.
Yeah.
Well, it's a half point if he gets a Pi laptop and a half point if he gets a RISC-V.
No. That counts as two separate ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, just split it out into two. We'll be good.
Because he does say and
or.
Yeah.
Here, how about this? Let me just fix this. Boom. Done. All right.
Yeah.
Now.
Yep. Notes are updated. All right. I'll do the next one too. I got a couple.
Here, let Tony take it since Oliver's from across the pond as well.
So the accent's right.
Put you guys in a corner.
So Oliver Kelly says a new demonstration of MS Linux with
that's a heart.
Yeah, Microsoft Hearts Linux. Yeah.
With desktop compatible OS suite via Electron or some container system like Snap or LXD.
So
everybody's thinking it's coming out.
Yeah, Microsoft Office through Snap or LXD or something, some kind of container system to. Yeah.
Yeah, that is possible.
I'm so glad everybody's going to be wrong about this one.
We're going to be right one day, man. One day.
Okay, his next one is you.
This is another guy.
That's a new person, isn't it?
From Discord. You want me to do it?
Yeah, I can do. Utopic Unicorn. He says Canonical will go close sourced. Ooh, no. But that's his prediction. Linux Mint will see a huge controversy. Well, we manage one of them a year anyway, so that's pretty good. Manjaro gets shut down. I think this is...
no, hold on. Now, I don't... By what force, I wonder? So, they don't have the best track record of, like, publicity. There's been at least 3 things happen this last year where everybody got up in arms. You saw Twitter blow up about, how could you say something like this? That's not very professional.
No, these are Utopic's predictions. We'll see in 12 months' time whether they've come true.
I think that one's going to come true. I think the Linux Mint sees a controversy too. I think people just have it out for Linux Mint.
That happens every year.
Every year, man. So okay. These are probably 2 going to be right here.
Arco Linux sees a huge increase in new users. That's a good possibility. I like that.
But is it measurable?
Red Hat gets decimated in the server industry in favor of other distros, including Debian.
This is kind of like my prediction.
It's a good prediction. I just don't see it happening. Red Hat's way too ingrained into the server industry.
Yeah, and now they're part of the IBM family.
Yeah, I don't know. If you were all in on Red Hat, then this doesn't hurt you. It doesn't. The CentOS change doesn't change anything at all. But if you were using CentOS in any way to do testing or to non-managed servers or something like that, then I mean it hurt.
And that might be where his thinking's coming from.
Right, exactly. The people that got hurt by this may decide to go with something else.
Yeah, and Ubuntu's waiting to take them on board. Canonical.
Right? Yeah. Exactly. Ubuntu, OpenSUSE, Oracle, all these guys are just waiting for new customers.
And you can run Ubuntu server without the support package if you've got your own, your own inside IT team. So if they've already been using I've lost the name of it now. The Red Hat.
CentOS Stream?
CentOS. If they've already been
okay.
using CentOS and self-maintaining that, they can self-maintain another Ubuntu server install, can't they?
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. So I think this is going to come true.
Mm. Does someone want to take Rock Hazard?
Well, I guess I will since I've been complaining. Rock Hazard on Discord says this will drop development of Edge for Linux.
Ooh. I think you're going to be wrong, Rock Hazard, but I don't know.
It's possible.
I don't know. It is possible.
Since of the the minimal acceptance on Linux of Edge.
But it'll break the whole Microsoft Hearts Linux thing.
Okay, over on Telegram, Sundaram predicts Proton/Wine will support EAC.
That is easy anti-cheat. So this is gonna, if this happens, it'll open the door to a lot of video games that Linux users cannot play unless they are on Windows.
And he says Matrix users will skyrocket. He says Linux will run on Apple M1.
See, a man of culture. I see. This is going to happen.
Well, Matrix is catching on. I hear it talked about a lot on the Jupiter shows. The problem is you pretty much have to self-host it.
Yeah. Anywhere else do you hear about Matrix?
No, I don't know. It's like I say, you have to self-host it.
It's true.
Okay, he says lots and lots of ARM devices.
Yep. We'll see that.
I hope so. Oh man, I hope so. That just the proliferation will be fantastic, and everything will be on ARM, and we'll have one unified architecture again.
And he further says RISC-V will grow a lot.
Well, there goes that architecture.
No.
NVIDIA will open source its drivers.
Yeah.
Okay, this one's definitely tongue-in-cheek because he had an LOL next to it.
Yes,
But,
well, I said that for this year, and it didn't happen.
Yeah, well, to be honest with you, though, I have heard people whispering about this. So
NVIDIA claimed they were going to open source their drivers 10 years ago, and they did do a data dump a year or so back.
Yeah, that's why the Nouveau guys are so as good as they are. But
yeah,
well, I don't know. We'll see. This is going to be interesting to watch.
And finally, Sundaram says that due to the release of many cloud gaming platforms, fragmentation will occur. All timed exclusives will be more common.
Ugh, I hope that last part's not right. Well, I usually don't buy games day one anyway, so it doesn't really bother me too much. But okay, so the release of cloud gaming, I mean, I think that's just as a matter of course. Just like you have Steam and Epic and GOG and everybody else has their own storefront, and you can't move games from one to the other. I think that's just absolutely inevitable.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't move your Stadia games to the Amazon Luna. So
timed exclusives, I don't see that. More likely, you'll see a lot more games that do season passes, much like Borderlands does. So whenever you get the update, you get the update. But because you paid for a season, you'll get the update.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also on Telegram, Jay Automani says Microsoft will expand its poison net, WSL, VS Code, and many things that will prevent users from really moving to Linux.
Ooh, so WSL, VS Code, all the Microsoft offerings will prevent people from moving to Linux. Eee.
He says Adobe will continue to call Linux a modest platform.
I will be surprised if they actually even mention Linux again. But if they do and they call it modest, you'll get a point for this one.
And here's one that he's really pushing. Emacs will become a more modern and more beginner friendly.
No, no, it won't
I'm
be
gonna go
more
ahead and give
beginner
you a
friendly.
0 on this one now.
Yeah, it's not going to be more beginner friendly because Emacs, it's for power users.
Yeah, it definitely is. So we'll see. I mean, maybe they will. They'll have like an Emacs-beginner package to install or something. Watch.
Emacs for
this
Dummies?
may happen. This may happen.
There is an Emacs for Dummies book, but yeah.
So we
Okay.
got one today from Twitter from Dave Goldsborough. Yeah. And it says, more of a wish, but if only accessibility was much better in Linux. So to convert that to a prediction, accessibility will see improvement in Linux in 2021. How's that?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll see some kind of big accessibility thing happen
So
in,
that's for
in Linux.
like Linux for blind people.
Right.
And
Yep. Hearing impaired, any kind of impairment that would impact your usage of a computer. We will see some kind of big innovation.
Okay.
All right. Then the last one came in last, just under the wire. Yusef in YouTube chat wanted me to add one to the list, which is no new innovative changes will happen in the Linux desktop.
Yeah, Linux is very iterative.
Well, see, no, but that's the thing. He did specify that, yes, he knows there will be a new AMD driver. Yes, he knows there will be, that new mouse that comes out will get added to the kernel and all that. But
Right, but there's not going to be
right?
anything, really, really new.
No mind-blowing anything.
It's going to be iterative as opposed to innovative.
Think about it like this. Linux will be boring in 2021.
Linux is never boring.
Linux is always boring. Everything that
And
happens
if you
is
don't
boring,
type
but
that
it's
into the
good that
show
way.
notes, then we won't know.
I'll throw it in there in just a second. But yes. All right. Well, that wraps up all of our predictions. Let's move on to vibrations real quick. Get this done, and we'll wrap this guy up. So, vibrations from the ether.
Okay.
Go for it.
Okay. The first one is from Clay Stone, and it was a question from episode 349.5. He says, "Forgive my IP table's ignorance, but I'd like to poke a hole for VNC access on 5901. What would I need to tweak add to the above script to get that to work? Everything works just as I need it, save VNC. Many thanks. Love the show." And I've included a link here. I added the link. I need to send it to him because I know this part of the show doesn't necessarily stay in the show notes. So, and it talks about how to open the VNC server ports. And you're editing the etc sysconfig IP tables folder or file, excuse me. And it's just a really long command that I'm not going to read out here to open the specific port that you want. And it's all included in the link. So I'll try to get that out in the mail.
Sweet. And so we'll get rid of the text, most of the text, but we'll keep the link and we'll keep the command. So that will remain in the show notes.
Awesome.
So next up is Alex, and he said, "Hey, this is just a quick note, mainly for me. To resize Windows in i3 or Sway, just hit Super plus R and then use Vim movement keys." So I think he's talking about the H, J, K, and L keys. And that will change... just as Super and Vim movement keys will change window focus without leaving the keyboard baseline. So, wow. All right. So I had complained a while back about how tough it is to resize Windows in i3. So this is just a response to that. And he says, to not have to use the mouse in a browser, try Firefox plus Vim Vixen. Navigate to any website, then hit the F key on your keyboard, followed by the letters for the link you want to follow. What letters? You'll see for yourself. Thanks for putting in all this time and effort. You guys are putting on yourselves to entertain your fellow open source enthusiasts. Keep it up. Thanks, Alex. Speaking of Alex, how about Brad Alexander? Who wants to take this one?
I can take it since no one else has jumped in.
All
He
right.
says, hey guys, yeah, Red Hat picked up CentOS specifically to make them go away. Absolutely right. Saw the amount of the profits they were losing made all the louder for being imagined. While I wish Rocky the best, there will always be the specter in the back of its users' minds that Red Hat will do the same thing to Rocky that they did to CentOS. So this could be an opportunity for Debian/Ubuntu/Mint to woo soon-to-be former CentOS users. A couple of suggestions: get FAI, fully automated install, up to speed on Debian likes, get HPC, high performance computing, on a level with Red Hat, and get the word out. When it comes to Linux, my preference was vanilla Debian. I started with Slackware 2.0.1 in 1995, then dual booted Slackware and Red Hat 3.0.3 with shared /home and /user/local. When I lost a drive, I ended up going with Red Hat until 6.0 when I felt their quality control dropped below acceptable norms. At the time, I had a couple of Debian developers, including Ben Collins, who was Debian project leader at the time, got me hooked on Debian, and until my ZFS and systemd related flight to FreeBSD, I stuck with Debian. Oh, I have run Ubuntu and Mint, but I gave up on them over time. We use Ubuntu and CentOS at work, and I have multiple FreeNAS/TrueNASs that I manage at work, in addition to my one at home. Merry Christmas to all of you.
Yep, I think he's right. That specter of Rocky and being gobbled up by Red Hat will always be there. But, you know, I think after we've seen what happened with CentOS, I don't think Rocky would ever agree to any kind of deal to do something like that, because you can see exactly where Red Hat is at with all of this. So as long as Rocky can just say no, it'll never happen again.
You want me to take the next one?
Please.
Yeah, this is Avinash.
Avinash.
Say that again, Moss.
Avinash.
Avinash, right. Sorry about that, Avinash.
Avinash.
Hi, awesome peeps. Hey, I'm an awesome peep.
Beep, beep.
Just a suggestion for the next episode to wrap up on the year. How about each of you telling everyone your Linux story, how you all got started, etc. Thank you. Well, maybe we could do that in the first episode of the new year.
Well, we can't wrap up this year with it, but
yeah.
We have done that in the past, I think.
I think we've done that a couple of times.
Yeah, actually, yeah, we have done a little bit of that, but I don't know. We could always do a little bio here and there, because we've always got new and old users that skip.
Mm-hmm.
I say users, listeners. Yeah,
and we've got new presenters since we probably talked about it last time.
Yeah, well,
that's true.
What is our
a
next
short
show
paragraph
topic anyway?
Thought we were having some users come into the show.
All right, so
we'll
definitely get on that.
It.
Yeah, we'll definitely get on that and do more of that in the future. All right, well, that'll do it for our feedback. So we'll head to check this out. All right, and a quick check this out. Tony, tell me about your mincemeat.
Well, we were talking about making mince pies and stuff like that. So I've put a couple of links. One to a wiki page that talks about the history of mincemeat and mince pies. And I've also put a link in the show notes to a Delia recipe. Delia Smith is one of our TV chefs here in the UK. And then finally, which is more techie related, I've put a link to the HBR New Year Marathon Show, which starts at 10 a.m. UTC on the 31st of December and runs through till 12 a.m. or 12 noon UTC on the 1st of January.
That
So,
will probably only
did-
be good for our live listeners, since it's
Yeah,
already
right.
the 27th.
Well, we've had the ad on the past
I
couple
know.
of shows, so they know.
I know we've also mentioned this before, but they do not include the Mumble link.
Well, if the first show, if the first half of the show goes out, the check this out is in the second half, isn't it? Maybe you could put
Yep.
it in the show notes for the first half.
Yep, sure will. And Joe, what do you got?
Well, earlier I had mentioned Greg Doucette, and so I've included a link to his YouTube channel.
Nice. And Eric.
Well, I got a couple things here. I've been talking to a lot of people on the Telegram group about grsync, which is a GUI for rsync. And the thing I like about this best is that it gives you the correct syntax for, in my case, how to get to my network shares on the NAS. But I did just check out their website, and they have some. It hadn't been updated since 2016, but they have 2 updates in 2020. One in May and one just here in end of November. And it says that grsync is now GTK3 enabled. Now that GTK4 is out.
Right. Yeah, grsync is probably one of the best learning tools for rsync that you could ever get your hands on. Because, yeah, you check some boxes, make some changes, and it tells you exactly how to run it. So, yes, fantastic pick.
And then one that I stumbled across listening to one of the podcasts is Super Productivity. It is a task management, to-do, and time tracking program. It's pretty good. I've been using it for the last probably 3 months. I just have it running on one of my screens at the office, and as a phone call comes up, just a quick type in what I'm working on, and it just starts recording. And then when I switch tasks, and then at the end of the day, it rolls them all up. And it's a good way to get through a to-do list, but it also does the time tracking on the back end. So if you have to fill out a timesheet, it's very, very helpful.
That is
Very
a paid
nice.
program, is it not?
It's free.
Oh, I heard a few shows talk about it, and they always talked about it being proprietary, and you had to pay for it.
It may be proprietary. I'm not sure about that, but I did not have to pay for it.
Excellent.
Yep. Yeah, looks like, yeah, sure enough. Sudo snap install super productivity.
Yep. Yep,
Cool.
It is a snap. That I do remember that.
Very cool. All right, well, that'll do it for that. And that brings us to our announcement, which is our next show will be Sunday, January 10th at 2 p.m. Central Time, U.S. Central Time. And we've got a link in the show notes for you to click, just in case you're bad at converting time zones, as just like I am. So click on that link. It'll tell you exactly from where you are what time to tune in. Otherwise, that'll do it. Joe, where can we find more of you?
Well, you can catch me on a couple other podcasts. I'm on the Linux Link Tech Show. The website for that is www.tllts.org. I'm also on the Linux Lugcast, www.linuxlugcast.com. You can catch me on MeWe, or you can send me an email, jb@mintcast.org.
Nice. And Bo's not here, but you can get him at ecnradio.com, undercastnetwork.com, or on YouTube at the Undercast Collective. Moss.
Well, you can find me at itsmoss.com. On MeWe, I have blogs on Peaceful Hippo, linuxquestions.org, and others. Music on Bandcamp and on various YouTube channels are all linked in the show notes. And Moss at mintcast.org. I'm at Zyvola at hosttux.social on Mastodon. DistroHoppersDigest at gmail.com. And sponsors. I have 2 sponsors now.
Woohoo!
That's a 100% increase.
Hey!
It is.
Tony Hughes.
Yeah, I'm on Hacker Public Radio, host ID 338. I do an occasional blog, tony-hughes.blogspot.com. I'm on Twitter, TonyH1212. You can get me at th@mintcast.org and distrohoppersdigest@gmail.com.
Nice. And Tony Watts, you can get him at tw@mintcast.org or search him up, Echoes of Savages. And Josh Hawk, not here as well, but Josh on Tech at protonmail.com, at Josh on Tech on Twitter, and pretty much everywhere else. Eric, what about you?
Well, I have a Proton Mail account now. Eric Leah at protonmail.com. I really enjoy having Proton Mail. And then I'm on the mintCast Telegram group, Eric Leitz.
Very nice. And thanks for hanging out with us today. We did go a little long, but thank you anyway.
Well, thanks for
We're
having
not
me.
over
I
3
appreciate
hours
it.
yet. What are you talking about?
Yep, this
Wait,
is
so-
less than the last episode, so
Oh, is it really?
I think I had the longest episode, I think.
Oh, wow.
It
Okay,
was
well, okay, we're doing
almost
good then.
4 hours.
Oh my god. Okay, well, okay, then we've made an improvement then. Great. You can find me at leochavez.org and at leochavez on Twitter, leo at mintcast.org, linuxuserspace.show, and you can get your 5-minute news digest at Full Circle Weekly News.
Almost current.
Almost. Yeah, no, I'm there. Before we leave, we want to make sure to acknowledge some of the people who make mintCast possible. Owen Peary for audio editing, Josh Lowe for all his work on the website, Hobstar for the logo, and Londoner for the time sync. Bytemark Hosting for hosting mintcast.org and our Mumble server, archive.org for hosting our audio files, HPR for our backup Mumble room, and, of course, the Linux Mint development team for the fine distro we love to talk about every fortnight.
Thanks, Clem.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Clem.
Clem. Don't forget
And-
to donate Archive and HPR. Both need
Ooh.
your money.
Wait,
No,
and-
HBR don't take donations.
Well, then they don't need your money.
Wait, and Co. All right.
And
you can
that's
donate to
a wrap.
Linux Mint too.
Oh, yeah.
Happy
right.
New Year!
Happy New Year.
Yay.
Happy
Oh, wow.
2021.
Yes.
Yeah,
May it be better than 2020.
Yeah,
I
can
want to
you-
have some real 2020 hindsight coming up.
Can we get Dale to put the HPR bumper in the first half of the show?
You mean
Uh,
Owen?
Oh, Owen, sorry.
You're thinking distro hoppers.
Yeah.
I believe we can do that. Send him a note in Discord. Just add him real quick. Because I will probably forget as I'm turning everything off. All right. We're good on Audacity. Stopping there.
Yeah, I've stopped Audacity.
All right.
So, question on Audacity. Last time it took me like an hour and a half to upload it,
Mhm.
but I didn't do something. What didn't I do last time?
Ooh, maybe it was the stereo thing?
No,
Yeah.
it wasn't that. Was it something with background noise?
Oh, it was Wave versus FLAC then.
Ah,
No,
yeah,
it was
you
a
need-
it was a FLAC,
Oh.
but it
Then
was a
I-
giant. It was a giant file.
I wonder if it was because there was background noise. FLAC will usually
have you
zero
been?
it out.
Yeah, have you been muting your audio when you've not been talking?
I have been.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, it shouldn't be a massive file then.
We'll see. We'll see once he exports it.
Well, you could zip your file.
But you
I
guys
don't-
you want it as a FLAC, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Moss, I couldn't hear you. Did you say zip your pie hole?
Yeah, you can do FLAC and you can do the smaller, the 8-bit. Actually, here I'm about to save it. So let me see. What is this episode? What
351.
351. All right, so I'm exporting now. Export audio. You can do FLAC level 5, bit depth 16.
Okay.
And that will be way better quality than the final product. So you should be perfect.
It's a little bit smaller than last show, 220 meg instead of 223 meg. Evidently,
Oh,
I
mine's
jabbed it a lot.
400.
Really? Oh, I wonder if it's your bit depth, Tony. If you do level 8 bit
Here,
depth 24,
we're at the end of the
that's
show.
why.
If you want to tell them, come on, come here, Kai.
Hey,
Come on.
Kai!
I'm definitely not short.
That's not what your dad says. I hope
She wanted
you
to
end up...
let you guys know that.
Oh, okay.
Well, mine is 255.9 megabytes, and I'm at top level, 8 and
Yeah,
24.
I always do mine at top level.
I don't know what I'm doing.
It still only takes 6 minutes to go up.
Export
You
audio.
guys
I've got
and
2
your-
minutes to go on mine.
You guys and your
I'm at level
fancy
6.
internet.
I'm at
Share some of
level
that with
6.
Eric.
Yeah, I could use that.
Yeah,
You
I've got
guys
100.
normally do level 8?
Yeah, I did 516, so level 5 at 16.
So
And
this
I mean,
should-
Josie's already
I
there.
have
Yeah,
190 megabytes.
Hold on.
Hey, that
See, that's
sounds
not bad.
reasonable.
That's not bad at
I
all.
I do 6 at 16, but I think it's because that's what Leo told me. So
Maybe you sent a WAV file last time and just had it called a FLAC.
Yeah,
Let
maybe.
Let me just put it this way. If it's in FLAC, even at the lowest FLAC levels, it's better than an MP3 at like 192K. So it's
Yeah.
great. No matter what you give us, if it's FLAC and it's like proper FLAC, it doesn't
Right.
matter.
Glad
what
to
level.
have you on the
Mumble
show,
now.
Eric.
Thanks, Moss.
Absolutely. What'd you say, Tony?
I've just stopped the mumble recording.
Oh, good. Okay. Yep. 238 for me. Let me see what last one was.
So yours is the only proper comparison to mine, since we're both using 6 by.
I'm
16.
5 by 16.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But it's
Yeah,
Yeah,
close
you do
enough.
talk a lot more than me, so
Yeah, that's the bigger thing because FLAC zeroes out anytime you got it muted. FLAC will not use data to display that or to represent that.
well, I'm checking right now to see what size it comes out to when I do it at 8. Taking a little while.
So where would
8
you
by
guys like me to
16.
upload
Oh.
this?
Let me do two things. Share this folder with you. We broke it out. It's way easier to handle now. Eric, there you are.
It came out smaller.
Oh, that's weird.
Right.
Editor, send. Share anyway. And let me get the share link. No, I don't want to change it. I just want it. Eric, it is in Mumble, and I will send it to you in Telegram as well.
Okay.
And mine is almost there. And like I say, it's 255 on my end. Let's see if it changes when it gets to go.
And
Tick, 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 tick.
I'm going to give Owen a heads up on who was on the show.
244 when it gets to mumble. Yeah, I need to go to the spreadsheet and get that updated too. I have not added guests onto the spreadsheet yet. That would take a lot of research.
Tony, did you tell Owen what you needed to tell him, or should I? I can
No.
do that now.
I haven't done it yet, no.
What did you want me to tell him?
About putting the bumper in for HPR
On the first show.
on the first half of the show, because that'll go out before the HPR New Year show. Obviously, with the other one will go out after it, so there's no point in putting it in the second half.
Yeah.
All right.
You have just missed the HPR New Year's show.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need that one.
Okie dokie. Well, I am going to go see if my wife is awake, and I need to update the IRC. Here we go. And there's that. See, I'm so efficient on that stuff.
All right.
Alrighty, poo.
I think we're done. I'm gonna go kill the stream.
And it's only 11, just after 11 o'clock here. I might actually get to bed before midnight.
Yay!
Yeah, I
There you
had
go.
suggested we might want to move the show back an hour. 1 o'clock Central Time.
I'm not sure that'll work for you guys, will it?
Well, we can definitely talk about it. It's all good.
Okay.
If we need to, we can. But
It's not a problem for me. 2 o'clock instead of 3 o'clock.
For all of you guys listening live, thank you very much for coming. If you're still hanging around by now, seems there's a few of you still. So thank you very much for hanging out. I appreciate it.
Great
And
show, guys.
Yeah, and thanks to Yusef for the last minute prediction.
Thanks for letting me on the show again.
Of course,
Love
anytime.
having you.
Just ping us whenever you want.
Have we picked a topic for next time?
Eric has to pick it.
Oh, okay.
I can have
Eric,
you
are you
guys
going to be on the next
talk
show
about
too?
anything.
I thought we were talking
I
about
wasn't
bringing some
planning on it.
people on the show in the next couple of shows.
No,
Kevin
whatever you
Mitnick,
want.
but I don't think he's responded to any of my emails.
Aw,
Okay. Well, I'm out of here, guys. Be good.
probably because you didn't send him a PGP key first.
That's probably it.
Yeah, man.
He thinks I'm a Fed.
All right, y'all. I'm gonna go kill the stream. Thanks again.
Okay. Bye-bye.